Welcome to the Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. And we have so much to cover, and we're going to cover quite a bit today. President Trump has done something pretty big, and we've got a few things going on. There was a big event at Mar-A-Lago last night. Some big things were dropped, including real talk of President Trump's third term and running in 2028. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, and I'm going to share all that with you. And Mark Levin, perhaps acting inappropriately, I'm going to ask you to be the judge of that coming up. If you're new to the program, make sure you subscribe. And if you'd like to call in, the numbers pinned in the live chat, those of you watching live, 888-465-2631. Okay, big story today is that the president has announced a complete blockade around Venezuela. It's a pretty big blockade. The president in his announcement said this is the largest blockade in history and of South America. You know, the President Trump, has been anti-war his entire life, even going back to the war in Vietnam. And, you know, these foreign wars that we've been in, how many of them really truly had a threat to this country? Not many, right? Yeah. World War II was an important war that we needed to be a part of, but the rest of them, including the First World War, I don't know if there's any of them that were really, truly a threat to us. The biggest threat to the United States since we were an established country and started settling the West has always been with the southern border. This country has been under attack from the southern border forever. Right? I mean, we had, before the Civil War, we had the war with Mexico, which was really about border issues. Of course, the war for Texan independence. And over the years, the illegals have been flooding our country for all of our lives. And of course, the drugs flowing in from South America. And while we've had all these wars abroad that we've been involved in, the real problem has always been Latin America and South America. And, you know, I've been to South America. I've been through Latin America. And I'm not talking about the tourist destinations, right? Like on our cruises, when we stop in South America or, you know, an island off of Mexico or something, those are tourist areas. So that's not like real South America, real Mexico. You understand what I mean? They're upscale tourist areas. And, but about 20 years ago, I went to Peru, and I just couldn't believe the conditions when I was deep in the country, which I went. I went to the Nazca lines. If you've never heard of the Nazca lines, look them up. Remember the movie Chariot of the Gods in the 70s? And it was also in the last the last decent Indiana Jones movie, the one with, the kid from Transformers. But anyway, the Nazca lines, check that out. And Latin America has all the resources that North America have, right? You know, and why is South America impoverished, run by criminal cartels, when they have everything that North America has? And the United States and Canada are prosperous first world countries. And nothing's ever really been done about it, ever, until now with President Trump. And, you know, so many, I mean, I'm surprised there's anyone left in Venezuela. So many of them came to the United States. And taking down the drug cartels and not just regime change in Venezuela, President Trump wants to bring stabilization to Latin America. You know, if South and Central America, and I know Mexico is part of North America, but come on. Really? Is it really a part of North America, if you catch my drift on that? And the biggest threat that this country has faced has come from Latin America throughout our entire history. Really has. someone called me the other day on the podcast, and in the afternoon, and Mexican guy in Los Angeles, and was claiming that California was Mexican territory. He was serious as a heart attack. If Mexico would have kept Texas and California, California and Texas are two very prosperous, beautiful states. If Mexico would have kept Texas and California, it would be a pit. It would be third world, not first world. There's all kinds of reasons. I'm not going to speculate on it. I have some ideas, but I don't want to get sidetracked on that right now. That's just the way those countries and cultures are. And if you want to fix the problems in this country, some of the biggest problems we have are point across the border. I mean, even look at this, the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, his son, a lifetime of drug addiction, right? These the drugs from the cartels, how much damage have they done to this country over the last 100 years? And what damage have the illegals point across the border done? It's off the scale of being able to measure it. So this blockade that the president has around Venezuela is the beginning of a major plan of President Trump to bring Latin America into the first world, like North America. And when I say North America, I'm not including Mexico. I'm talking about the United States and Canada. And if we had Latin America, if South America came out of this drug cartel, narco government era phase that they've been in for I don't know how many decades, and moved into the first world, think how great the whole Western Hemisphere would be, and what a strain on our system at every level, local, state, cities, and the federal government, and how many people are dead because of all this, not just the drug cartels, but the illegals that have come here and done crime. All of these things will be taken care of if we lift Latin America up. And that's what President Trump's goal is. Who could be against that, right? Well, of course, Democrats, because they're against any and everything President Trump does or says, no matter how universally good it is. Now, this event at Mar-a-Lago last night, this is going to freak out a lot of liberals as this hits the news cycle today. One of the big Trump donors came up. And by the way, this was a Hanukkah event. And, so Mark Levin, which I'll play a clip of Mark Levin in a bit. I know Mark Levin seemed a little inappropriate to me, tell you the truth. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to share this. This is President Trump talking, and then it leads to a very serious discussion about Trump running again for the fourth time and for the third term in 2028. Listen to this.
Miriam,
this is last night, Mar-a-Lago.
Adelson, do you want to come up? Miriam Adelson.
Miriam,
do you want to come up, Miriam? Come up here, Miriam.
Yeah, and we know, and I will comment on the Candace Owens, Erica Kirk. I did catch a chunk of Candace Owens' show last night. Now, I'll talk about that a little later, too.
Miriam gave my campaign, indirectly and directly, $250 million. She was number one. When somebody can give you $250 million, I think that we should give her the opportunity to say hello.
Absolutely.
And Miriam, make it quick, because $250 million is not what it used to be. Okay? Hello, darling. Come on.
Okay, now here we go. Now listen to this.
Incredible woman with a great husband, a man that loved Israel.
Well, Mr. President, when you were in the Israeli parliament and you gave a speech and you saw me from far away, at that time I came with a scooter to the parliament just to hear you. I wanted to hear you alive. And then you say, Miriam Adelson, and I stood for a second, but it was so painful, so I sat. Then you screamed, Miriam, stand up! And I wish you would have known, but I stood up and heard all your compliment, and thank you very much.
I saw you back there standing.
Yeah, you saw me.
She stood
Thank
up
you.
bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years
Okay, now here's she said. Now she said that she spoke to Alan Dershowitz.
And I wish you would have known, but I stood up and heard all your compliment, and thank you very much.
I saw you back there standing.
Yeah, you saw me.
She stood
Thank
up
you.
bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years, and I say, Alan, I agree with you, so we can do it. Think about it.
Alan's
and I
here
would be,
someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan is here. Oh, he had a flight. Alan is here.
Here it is.
Think about it.
Thank you.
Maybe I will be the first one who told you, or second. Yeah.
She said, think about it. I'll give you another 250.
I will give.
But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy, and he'd come up to the office, and there was nobody more aggressive than Sheldon. I think I spent more time with him and you, because you usually came up together, but he'd call and say, can I come over, please? I say, Sheldon, I'm president of the United States. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's like maybe tomorrow. How about tomorrow? No, please, just for a little while. And I would, he'd always say 10 minutes. It turned out to be about an hour and a half, right? And what he did is he fought for Israel. That's all he really fought for. He just wanted to take care of He just wanted to take care of Israel. So he was a great guy. He was a fantastic man, and he loved you so much he couldn't see straight. So,
Yeah, and so the Adelson family will pledge $250 million to the 2028 campaign if Trump runs again. And Alan Dershowitz signed off on it legally. This is, we need 4 more years. Do we not need 4 more years of Trump? I got it. Well, it's a miracle that he's back again for a second and consecutive term with everything they've done to him. But everything he's doing is so good. We need another 4 years. And I am as serious as a heart attack that I support Trump in 2028. Don't you? Absolutely. What a beautiful thing. And there's been a lot over the years since I've been doing this. There have been things that have ticked people off in the audience on positions I've taken. Sometimes people that are conservative, but it happens. We don't always agree, and we don't always have to agree. But I'm going to give you guys a little behind the scenes of what's been going on with me. With people in this audience. There are never Trumpers. Some of them are Republicans, by the way. They're, never Trumpers. When we talk about never Trumpers, for those that don't know, never Trumpers are Republicans that don't support Trump. And when I say never Trumpers, most often that's what I'm referencing. Is that not true with you guys? We talk about Democrats, we talk about liberals, but when we talk about never Trumpers, most of the time I'm referencing Republicans that don't support President Trump. And I have been hearing from never Trumpers, some of them longtime listeners of the program who are never Trumpers. They are, hey, listen, we have Democrats that listen, we have never Trumpers that listen. And they are desperate to get me to criticize President Trump on something. And I'm going to tell you, it will never happen. This Rob Reiner thing yesterday that I talked about, there's been a lot of people in this audience who yesterday were just, you heard it through some of the calls, and I've heard it through comments on YouTube, comments and things that, and other things where people have messaged me. They're trying to get me to criticize President Trump, and it's never going to happen. And I want to share something with you. I did play this on my podcast yesterday, and then I also played a little bit of this on the very end of the program. Yesterday, the program, I don't know, we ended about 9:15, a little bit after 9 o'clock. We continued the show after 9 a.m. Steve Kane hung around, which he doesn't do that often. And just as I was about to sign off, something dropped about Rob Reiner. And a lot of people that yesterday that I was hearing from on the air and off the air were trying to tell me to do the decent thing, that what President Trump said about Rob Reiner was just wrong. Even James Woods says so and all this stuff. And what we've learned, and I made a very good case filled with evidence and examples throughout yesterday's program, showing that Rob Reiner was in league with the deep state for the last 10 to 12 years, involved with all the Russia hoax and everything to try to bring down Trump. And no matter how much I shared on the air, Democrats didn't want to hear it, and I'm hearing from these never Trumper Republicans who are telling me that I'm an indecent person because you're just supposed to say rest in peace. I even gave examples in my professional life when I've had stalkers and harassers that, one of them, my wife reminded me, I was talking about one person that harassed me and my family for years, that there was local and federal law enforcement involved in investigations with this person. And my daughter, when she was in elementary school, my wife reminded me of this last night. This person harassed me so much. They called me on the air. I've always been on in the mornings. So my wife always took our daughter to school, and they called me on the air and said, "Have you checked on your daughter this morning?" The person that was stalking and harassing and threatening me and my family for years. I left immediately and went to the school. I called the police. I called my wife. I met with the principal and administration and law enforcement. And this is when my daughter was in elementary school. That's only one example. This person did a lot of terrible things. That's why we had local and federal law enforcement involved. And they passed away during the shutdowns and everything. And I talked about this yesterday. And I remember the sense of relief I felt when I found out they had died. And I felt bad about that for a moment. And I talked to my wife about it. And she says, "Well, look what they've done." No, it's a natural. Most people don't have individuals who dedicate themselves to stalking, harassing you, and doing terrible things to you and your family. I've had it happen with multiple people. And President Trump has had it happen on an incredibly insane level where he was actually shot. And by the way, the person that I'm talking about was responsible for an incident where I had guns pointed at my face, right up to my face and head. Pretty bad person. And when they passed, that sense of relief I felt was amazing. It was like I had been let out of a prison. And I don't know if I've ever talked about that before. But I did yesterday because I wanted to talk about President Trump and Rob Reiner and explain how he's feeling. And one liberal caller who didn't want to hear anything I said, "Where's the proof? Where's the proof that he was working with Brennan?" And the proof dropped just as I was signing off yesterday, a little bit after 9. And this is so important. This is Rob Reiner. This is Brennan and Clapper. Brennan and Clapper, remember, we know were in the room with Obama when they crafted that Russia hoax, right? They were part of it. And this sit-down film that Rob Reiner did here.
Sit at either place.
Either place?
Whatever's good for you.
I don't think either one of us has a good side.
You don't
so it
have a
doesn't
good
matter.
side, it doesn't
We're
matter.
both bad sides.
All right, me too. We're both of the follically challenged.
Okay, so then they sit here for about 20 to 25 minutes with Rob Reiner talking about Russian collusion with President Trump and how President Trump is compromised by Russia and how this is an attack on this country. Rob Reiner wasn't just working for them. He was brought in as, you got to understand, these guys at their age, Clapper and Brennan, are Rob Reiner's generation. And Rob Reiner is one of the greatest directors of American cinema. He's very good was a very good director, very talented, and with these guys, probably one of the greatest directors of their generation. And this sit down this is not some TV video production on an iPhone. This is cinematography. Remember, he did A Few Good Men, and this looks like they're in a Few Good Men type courtroom. And this is the quality of a major A-list feature film. They brought in an A-list movie director, Rob Reiner, who also has the double thing of having been a TV star on one of the most popular, most watched televisions in the history of American television, All in the Family, and a household name and a liberal. And they brought him in as the director of the lawfare and coup that's been going on against President Trump for 12 years. And you look at this sit down with Brennan Clapper, with Rob Reiner. This is top-level film direction and production brought to you by one of America's greatest directors, Rob Reiner, who's responsible for one of the most famous scenes in American cinema, the You Can't Handle the Truth, with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson scene in the courtroom in A Few Good Men. Don't you see this? He was brought in because of his skill as a director to sell things to the public, as well as his celebrity to be able to go on television and sell it. And it was reported yesterday that the night that, that he and his wife were supposed to have dinner with the Obamas this week. And they didn't because their son murdered them. So this guy was the director of the entire lawfare. He was deep into it. I really hope we get an investigation as to how he was earning his money the last 10 years, because I want to find out if Rob Reiner somehow was getting paid for the last 10 years for his work with the coup conspirators through USAID or somehow financing films that nobody would ever watch or see. I'd like to know. I've talked a lot about how actors, directors, and producers, there's no more residuals in Hollywood. And a lot of people that are actors and Hollywood people are struggling to make a living. Very famous people. Harrison Ford is an example. And they're forced to go out and work again because the residual checks don't come like they used to, because there's no residuals on streaming. And everything's streaming now. And it looks to me this is how Rob Reiner was earning a living the last decade, doesn't it? So now that you've seen this, those of you who were telling us how inappropriate President Trump's comments are, what do you think now? One thing I wonder, one thing I really wonder, look at the quality of this. Just amazing cinematography with this, with Clapper and Brennan and Rob Reiner. What I wonder? What question I have? Did Rob Reiner direct January 6th? All right. Of course, you all know that this early program, the early show, the pre-show, is brought to you by the next governor of Minnesota, Mike Lindell. Please go to mypillow.com. Use my promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. This is a really important month for me because this early show, I've been doing this, 3 or 4 months now. And the early show has been sponsored by Mike Lindell and MyPillow on a month-by-month basis. And then after the first of the year, they're going to decide if they're going to continue this as a permanent thing. So if we have a good performance this month from you guys going to mypillow.com and using our promo code KANE, which you can use no matter where you're located, wherever you are watching me in the world, you can use the promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, at mypillow.com. If we have a good performance this month, so far as sales, it will become a permanent thing for this early show that Mike Lindell's been sponsoring. So please go to mypillow.com. There's still time to do your Christmas shopping. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. It's pinned in the live chat, the toll-free number, 888-465-2631. What are your thoughts about Rob Reiner seeing this new video? And do you think it's possible that he was the director of January 6th? We'll be right back. This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you they're making it through the year. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow, the 5-pack, for just $29.98. Get the My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-716-4879 and use the promo code KANE to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now just $14.98. Queens, $18.99. Kings, only $1 more. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced they're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026. So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, or call 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE for huge savings on your Christmas shopping. On the line, we have Gina. She's a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. Gina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great, thanks. So you went and met with Joe Thomas about annuities. Can you tell me about your experience?
I can't say enough good things about my experience with Joe Thomas. He's a straight shooter. He tells it like it is. He talks in plain language so that you know, because I didn't know anything about this stuff when I retired. So I walked into his office, and immediately I felt comfortable. And I said, look, I know nothing about this. I don't want to lose my shirt. So please guide me in the right direction so that I'll be set. And he sure did. And I'm very happy that I went there. And I even got my mother to join, too. Now I feel comfortable that I'm set, and I don't have to worry about running out of money.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than running out of money before you run out of life, right?
Exactly.
Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999 and online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, Gina, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, we're back. All right. I want to share this now in the pre-show because I cannot play this on the radio because the language is so bad. Okay? This is a elderly woman, senior citizen. She works at Target, and she's wearing a Charlie Kirk shirt. And this liberal lunatic woman confronts her. I got to play this quick because I cannot play this on the radio because of the language. And to bleep it out, it takes the effect of what this terrible person did to this elderly woman.
Why?
They let you wear that shirt here?
Yes.
So
Why? Why are you taking my picture?
why are you wearing that shirt? You're working. It's not
It's a
Target
red
shirt.
shirt. I can wear any red shirt.
It's not a plain shirt.
It doesn't have to be
It's a Charlie Kirk shirt.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Are you fucking stupid?
No.
Why the fuck would you wear that? You're at work at Target. That's not a Target shirt. It's not a plain red shirt.
We
You
don't.
support a racist.
It's not racist.
You support a racist.
He's not a racist.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he fucking is.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stand here and argue with you.
You're not. You should go
over
get
it.
your manager. You should not be allowed to wear that at work. Unacceptable. Unfucking acceptable.
That's your opinion.
No,
ma'am.
the opinion is he's a fucking racist and you support him.
That's your opinion, ma'am. Have
And
a
you
nice
shouldn't.
day.
You should not be allowed to wear that. This is
nice-
going to be taken above your fucking head. That's insane.
Have a
Insane.
nice day.
In fucking insane. Piece of shit.
Wow. Pretty crazy, huh? This, this woman that's filming this nice senior citizen working at Target, she sounds like these liberals that call me. I don't know what it is about these young brown shirts, this generation, millennials and Gen Z. They don't know how to talk to people. The amount of disrespect they're showing is insane, beyond just the cancel culture thing that they're doing. They're so big on the F word. I've never seen anything like it. And this poor senior citizen, she handled it perfectly. This woman needs this job. She's not working on her feet at her age because she's bored and needs something to do. People that have a job like this at her age are working because they have to. And she's being harassed. And really what this is abuse. She's being abused by this woman. She's being harassed. She's being abused. She's being threatened. It's god awful. Now, someone told me that Benny Johnson is going to set up a GoFundMe for this nice woman, and that's a good thing. And I don't know. Somebody just told me that. I hope it's true. Pretty scary stuff. Pretty scary stuff. That's the left. That's the people that the Democrats are catering their message to in the midterms. Is that who you want running the country? People that are catering to that lunatic that filmed this nice old lady and abused her? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, my brother. How are you? I'm from Texas.
You know, I do have brothers, but you don't sound like one of my brothers.
You my brother. You my brother from Christ, brother.
Oh, brothers in Christ. Okay, we are brothers in Christ. That's good. Yes, I will agree with that.
Okay. I'm gonna make a comment about about the lady with the shirt on. Mm-hmm. Was that another employee talking to another employee like that?
No, it was a customer, or as they call them at Target, guest. They call their customers guests. No, it was the woman that made the video has been identified. I'm not sharing that information because I don't do that, but she's a liberal. She's a liberal. She's a liberal lunatic who regularly has meltdowns online.
But the problem with that, Brian, if I saw the employee with the shirt on, I just would have looked at her and walked away from her, because I don't even comment, because you know what? If you want to wear that shirt, that's your business. But if I was the supervisor of that lady, she wouldn't have wore that shirt because she's not in uniform.
No, she said she is. She said this by the way has been reported. They can wear any red shirt they want.
Hey Brian, I'm sorry, I'm about to hang up. My mother's calling. I'm about to hang up from you.
Your mother. Oh, his mother's calling. Okay. You can wear any red shirt that you want. In fact, she says that when she's in the video. She said they can wear any red shirt they want. So no, that's the uniform. You know, liberals are. You know, it's a fascinating thing to me about liberals, because they do believe they're tolerant, but they're the exact opposite. They're the intolerant left. They're so tolerant they want to destroy the life of anyone who disagrees with them. That's what they call tolerance. It's amazing to me. You know, throughout my life, I've seen liberal people around. I remember when Obama first got elected, like in Obama's first term, no matter where you were, you would see black people wearing, at work, working at places, Obama buttons. You know, I'd been at retail stores and saw black people wearing Obama buttons on their clothes, on their work uniforms. I never said anything to them. I didn't cuss them out. I didn't dress them down. I didn't ask for their supervisor. There was a big thing with school teachers doing it, too. Black school teachers nationwide were wearing Obama buttons after his reelection for pretty much the entire first term. Do any of you all remember that? I do. And you could hardly go anywhere without seeing that. And regular retail places, Target, Walmart, you know, even fast food restaurants. And so what? It's America. It's America, right? And people, sadly, there are Democrats out there. I wish there weren't. You know, if everyone was MAGA, the country would be much better. But, you know, a little less than half the country are. Most people that are not MAGA, they're either mentally deranged, like the woman that made this video. Let me play it one more time, because once the radio show starts, I can't play this again, in case you missed it and just jumped in. This elderly woman is a employee at Target, confronted by a liberal loon.
Why?
They let you wear that shirt here?
Yes.
So
Why are you taking my picture?
why are you wearing that shirt? You're working. It's not
It's
a
a
Target
red
shirt.
shirt. I can wear any red shirt.
It's not a plain shirt.
It doesn't have to be
It's a Charlie Kirk shirt.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Are you fucking stupid?
No.
Why the fuck would you wear that? You're at work at Target. That's not a Target shirt. It's not a plain red shirt. You support a racist.
It's not racist.
You support a racist.
He's not a racist.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he fucking is.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stand here and argue with you.
You're not. You should go
over
get
it.
your manager. You should not be allowed to wear that at work. Unacceptable. Unfucking acceptable.
That's your opinion.
No, the opinion is he's a fucking racist and you support him.
That's your opinion, ma'am. Have
And
a
you
nice
shouldn't.
day.
You should not be allowed to wear that. This is
nice
going to be taken above your fucking head. That's insane.
Have a
Insane.
nice day.
In fucking insane. Piece of shit.
Wow. If you're on hold, stand by. We've got about a minute till the radio show starts, and I'm not going to take any calls till after the radio show starts because we only have a minute. So you'll have to hang in there. We've got a lot to cover. Oh, boy. I tell you. The left, huh? Okay. Let me... Okay. We got about less than 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I am Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. It is Wednesday already. Can you believe it? Oh, my goodness. The Steve Kane Show has been on the radio since 1977. Oh, my. I know time flies. If you're on hold, stand by. We've got a lot to cover today. Those of you that caught the early pre-show, I covered a few things. I'm going to recap one of them, and then we'll get into all this stuff. I mean, there's so much going on today. A little later, I will comment. I watched Candace Owens yesterday, who's completely insane. I watched her show yesterday, a big chunk of it, when she was talking about her over 4-hour sit-down with Erica Kirk. And it was a very difficult thing to watch because Candace Owens is insane. And, you know, one thing with people that have mental problems is, you know, you work in the radio business, you tend to know a lot of people with mental problems. Sometimes they're on the air, sometimes they're callers and listeners. But people that have mental issues, one thing I've noticed that a lot of them have in common is they have certain triggers, right? You know, like some of the mental patients I hear from lately, their trigger is Epstein. Right, you know, and Candace Owens' trigger is Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk. And I was watching her show yesterday, talking about the meeting, and she sounded like she was having an episode. Like, this is not I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor. This is just an observation, having talked to thousands of mental patients on the phones over the years. And she seemed to me, and I mean this in a serious way, although I'm a layman, she seemed to be manic, having a manic episode during her program yesterday, Candace Owens. The things that she said were so nuts. Do you know that she brought her own water to drink to the meeting with Erica Kirk, she said? Which implies that they were going to try to poison her, so she didn't trust the water that Erica Kirk and her people would give her. That's crazy. She was talking to somebody about how these planes over Utah had flown many times to Israel, and Israel was going to own TikTok. I mean, she's just completely nuts. But I'll talk a little bit about that coming up. There was a big event, a Hanukkah event, at Mar-A-Lago, and there were a lot of important people there. including Mark Levin, who did something that I think was inappropriate, what Mark Levin did. I'll let you all be the judge. We'll get to that in a minute. But let me just play this, and this explains itself. This is, there's real talk now. Real talk. It happened last night of President Trump running in 2028 for the fourth time for a third term. Listen.
Miriam Adelson.
Miriam
You want to come
Adelson.
up, Miriam? Come up here, Miriam. Miriam gave my campaign, indirectly and directly, $250 million. She was number one. When somebody can give you $250 million, I think that we should give her the opportunity to say hello. And Miriam, make it quick, because $250 million is not what it used to be. Okay? Hello, darling. Come in. Incredible woman with a great husband, a man that loved Israel.
Well, Mr. President, when you were in the Israeli parliament and you gave a speech and you saw me from far away, you called, and at that time I came with a scooter to the parliament just to hear you. I wanted to hear you alive. And then you say, Miriam Adelson, and I stood for a second, but it was so painful, so I said. Then you screamed, Miriam, stand up! And I wish you would have known, but I stood up and heard all your compliment, and thank you very much.
I saw you back there standing.
Yeah, you saw me.
She stood
Thank
up
you.
bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said
Alan
the
Dershowitz.
legal thing about 4 more years, and I said, Alan, I agree with you, so we can do it. Think about it. And
Alan's
I
here
would be-
someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan is here? Oh, he had a flight. Alan is here? Think about it.
Thank you.
Maybe I will be the first one who told you, or second. Yeah.
She said, think about it. I'll give you another $250 million.
I will give.
But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy, and he'd come up to the office, and there was nobody more aggressive than Sheldon.
What do you think? So Miriam Adelson has offered Trump to donate $250 million to the campaign if he runs in 2028. It sounds good to me. And the fact that Alan Dershowitz signed off on it legally, Alan Dershowitz is the top lawyer in America, right? He understands the law. He's one of the top lawyers in American history, Alan Dershowitz. That sounds pretty good to me, and we definitely need it. Now, there's a lot of big stories that I'm going to cover today, and one of them is President Trump has put in place, he just announced it last night, a major blockade around Venezuela. In fact, he's saying it's the largest blockade in the history of South America that's ever been done. This is big. Now, of course, the left are going to tell us what a bad thing this is, even though the blockade that President Trump or that President Kennedy put around Cuba during the Cuba Missile Crisis, they've made, I don't know how many movies have been made about that, how many books have been written about the courage to put a blockade around Cuba and and all that stuff, right? Yeah, exactly, the Cuba Missile Crisis. President Trump's doing that. Those missiles that they may or may not have been putting in Cuba weren't killing people. They may have down the road, but they weren't killing people. Venezuela is killing people in this country each and every day. In fact, maybe Carl Reiner's son was using, over the years, drug cartel drugs. And look what happened there. There has never been such a just military action as what President Trump is doing with Venezuela. And this is more than just regime change to Venezuela with Maduro. What President Trump wants is a cultural economic shift through all of South America. And I'll throw in Latin America, which is Mexico and Central America as well. If you look at the major problems facing this country, right? The major problems, if you made a list of the top 5 to 10 major problems facing this country, how many of them are a direct result of the southern border and all related issues, right? The drugs and the people that have come here and just caused crime, mayhem, death, destruction, and everything else. And economic problems, everything. And and President Trump, what his plan is, I know what they're saying today. Oh, he wants regime change in Venezuela. He's thinking far beyond that. He wants a complete economic change throughout all of Latin America to bring them into the first world, so we don't have millions of peasants coming here to rape and murder our people or kill them on the highways in traffic accidents or take our jobs or take all the rental vacancies and drive rent prices up and all these things, filling up our emergency rooms, a strain on our city, state, and counties and federal government, and sucking off of us and filling up our prisons and bringing poisonous fentanyl and other drugs into this country. There's never been such a just military action taken as the one President Trump is taking right now. And on top of that, he's doing it. He's not just talking about it, he's doing it. He's not asking for permission. He's not asking for approval. This is a clear and present danger to the United States, and he's doing it. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this at 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Friendly Tire in Margate. Oh, man, Friendly Tire in Margate. They're just amazing. I've been a customer of Friendly Tire, I don't know, close to 20 years, maybe 20 years by now. And I've talked many times. I found Friendly Tire out of necessity. I had a four-wheel drive Jeep Wrangler that I got an incredible deal on. And it had the big oversized tires. And when I was so excited that I got such a great deal. And then I realized that buying new tires at the regular tire shops around town cost almost as much as the whole Jeep cost. They're really expensive, you know. And I found Friendly Tire out of necessity, you know, because the prices on new and used tires are so low. You can get new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire, and that's on common-sized tires on some of the most popular vehicles on the road today. And remember, when I say out the door and on the road, when you call Friendly Mike, the price he quotes you, he doesn't add anything to that. He doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tires. And he's got to pay a guy to take away the old tires, by the way, per tire. I was surprised at that. So that price, as low as $75 a tire, brand new, out the door and on the road. He has good used tires for as low as $35 a tire. Okay, give him a call. He'll give you a quote over the phone, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. Call us on hold. You stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
Do you want healthier chickens, stronger immunity, and rich golden yolked eggs without relying on chemicals? Of course you do, but how do you do it, and where do you even begin? That's easy with the new book from author Mary Butler, The Herbal Hen House, Nurturing Your Chickens with Nature's Remedies, available on Amazon. Author Mary Butler is a devoted chicken keeper and herbal enthusiast who brings more than a decade of hands-on experience straight to your coop. The Herbal Hen House is a warm, practical guide that shows you how to use safe, effective herbs to support digestion, boost immunity, and improve egg quality, as well as help prevent common flock problems naturally. When you read The Herbal Hen House, you'll discover easy, beginner-friendly herbal remedies, simple DIY blends that you can make at home, as well as clear guidance on what's safe, what to avoid, and how to care for chickens at every stage of life, from chicks to senior hens. Whether you're raising your very first flock or have been tending chickens for years, The Herbal Hen House gives you the confidence to ditch those harsh chemicals and raise healthier, happier chickens the natural way. The Herbal Hen House, Nurturing Your Chickens with Natural Remedies, from author Mary Butler, is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Order your copy right now. Your chickens will thank you. Remember the first time the TARDIS store swung open and your world got a little bigger? If you're a fan of the classic days of Doctor Who, the monsters, the mysteries, the wobbly sets, and the endless charm of the Doctor and his companions, then it's time to rediscover it all with The Hoonies, a Doctor Who podcast available on Amazon. Each episode breaks down one episode of Doctor Who, bringing back the nostalgia, the fun, and the magic that made you a fan in the first place. Whether you're a lifelong Whovian or just stepping back into time and space, The Hoonies is your weekly trip through the universe of classic Doctor Who, one episode at a time. Relive the laughs, the lore, and the legacy with The Hoonies, a Doctor Who podcast, now streaming on Spotify. This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you they're making it through the year. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow, the 5-pack, for just $29.98. Get the My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-716-4879 and use the promo code KANE to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now just $14.98. Queens, $18.99. Kings, only $1 more. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced they're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026. So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, or call 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE for huge savings on your Christmas shopping.
All right, we got about 30, 40 seconds till we're back. We're still in a radio station break. And we've got so much to share. Something up here. Stand by. All right, guys, we're back. My name's Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. If you're on the line, on hold, stand by. The end of the year, a lot of people die at the end of the year. I mean, it just sucks. And there have been 3 people, celebrities, that have died that I wasn't just a fan of, a pretty big part of my life. 2 more than one, but I was sharing the other day that Footy from Y100 died. And, you know, those of you out there that are longtime South Florida people that grew up here in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach markets, Footy and Sonny Fox were so big. I mean, I can't even describe. And that show, and along with Steve Kane and a couple of others like Neil Rogers and Tanner in the Morning and a few of these guys from yesteryear, there's others, you know, Greg Budell. I always, you know, I was a big radio listener when I was a kid. I loved listening to radio when I was a kid, especially during the summers, and I used to call talk shows, and Footy passing away, that's just really sad. Footy and Sonny Fox are both gone. You know, Sonny Fox died quite some time ago. And that was a big blow to me. You know, as you get older, the people you grew up with, the celebrities, they sadly die. And then yesterday, I had mentioned Anthony Geary, who played Luke from Luke and Laura on General Hospital, died. And that, since all day yesterday, and even right now as we speak, I have Think of Laura by Christopher Cross in my head. That's a great song. And I remember when the Luke and Laura thing happened, I always thought, until not about a year ago, I found this was not true. I thought Think of Laura was actually written for General Hospital and Luke and Laura by Christopher Cross. And I saw an interview with Christopher Cross, He said, not only is that not true, but that General Hospital used Think of Laura without his permission, and they didn't pay him anything for it. But I guess he sold a lot of records back in the days when people sold records for Think of Laura, and that's a great song by Christopher Cross. It's not the first song that people think of with Christopher Cross, but it's maybe the second, third, or fourth. I mean, it's Arthur's Theme, Sailing. It's up there. It's, his three biggest songs, Christopher Cross, are Sailing, Arthur's Theme, and of course Think of Laura. He has got all his songs are great though, Christopher Cross. But Think of Laura, I've had that in my head for a day, and then I wake up today and find another one of the heroes and icons of my youth has died, and that's Gil Gerard, who played Buck Rogers in Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. And I got to tell you, I've met a lot of celebrities that I grew up idolizing, and I always wanted to meet Gil Gerard, and it just never worked out. He would be at a convention, and then for some reason I couldn't go. And I remember I saw Buck Rogers in the 25th Century with Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray was a television series, but the 2-hour television pilot was actually a feature film that was released in theaters. And I was a little kid, 7. It was 1978, but I went to the theater and saw Buck Rogers in the 25th Century with Gil Gerard in the theater. You had Twinkie and Princess Ardala. Some of the hottest women ever seen on television were on that show. And now I got the theme song to Buck Rogers in the 25th Century in my head, with overlapping with Think of Laura. And Gil Gerard. I mean, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. I might binge watch the entire first season of that over the weekend. That's a show. It's a very important part of my youth. Gil Gerard, and he wrote his own obituary. And I wanted to pull this up because this really impressed me a lot. I read this morning. It's in Rolling Stone magazine. Gil Gerard, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, dead at 82. And his wife released his obituary that Gil Gerard wrote for himself. And I wanted to read it to you guys because I just thought this was, and I know it sounds, I tell you so much I'm not in the celebrities. There's certain celebrities I was a big fan of, and Gil Gerard to me is as important to me as William Shatner or some of the others that are out there. But listen to this. In his own statement, this is in Rolling Stone, in the article about Gil Gerard, and I posted this on X, on my X, you guys can. And there is a connection, by the way, at our radio station. John Tesh is married to Connie Selica, who starred in another iconic show that was a big, important part of my youth, The Greatest American Hero. She played Ralph Hinckley's attorney girlfriend, and of course, that's Gil Gerard's ex-wife, and they have a son together. But anyway, listen to this. This is in Rolling Stone. In his own statement released by his wife, not Connie Selica, she's married to John Tesh now, has been forever, but this is his current wife. In his own statement released by his wife following his death, now listen to this. Gil Gerard, very wise man. Gil Gerard began by writing, "If you are reading this, then Janet has posted it as I asked her to. My life has been an amazing journey." Gil Gerard continued this, "The opportunities I've had, the people I've met, and the love I have given and received have made my 82 years on the planet deeply satisfying. My journey has taken me from Arkansas to New York to Los Angeles, and finally to my home in North Georgia with my amazing wife Janet of 18 years. It's been a great ride, but inevitably one that comes to a close as mine has. Don't waste your time on anything that doesn't thrill you or bring you love. See you out somewhere in the cosmos." Gil Gerard, he wrote his own obituary, and it's pretty amazing. I'm really saddened by that, by Gil Gerard. I really am. I know maybe it sounds ridiculous. I've never met him. He doesn't know me. But if you're my age, if you're around my age, not only was Gil Gerard and Buck Rogers in the 25th century an important part of my generation, but the women of that show that Buck was having flings with probably got about half of my generation through puberty as well, right? Aaron Gray and Princess Ardala and all that. But it's just sad. It's sad to see him go. All right, listen, I'm going to take our break at the bottom, and then I'll get back into the issues when we get back from the bottom of the hour break. All right, it's the Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian Craig. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. And I'll just say one last thing about Gil Gerard. Even though I never met him, I learned something from him in an interview that I read. This tells you how long ago it was. Do any of you, and I'll say this, then I'll move on. We'll take a break, and I'll get back to the issues. Do any of you guys out there remember Starlog magazine? It was a big science fiction magazine back in the days of magazines. And this is probably when I was in high school, maybe right out of high school, around that time, in Starlog magazine. They did a very detailed interview with Gil Gerard, and he was talking about Buck Rogers in the 25th century, and he was talking about how petty he would get, arguing with the producers and the network, and how he's grown and how stupid it is to sweat these small things in life. He talked about how he didn't like a billboard they had of him somewhere out in the middle of the country that nobody saw, and how he threw a fit over this billboard. And he talked about in this interview in Starlog magazine, Gil Gerard, about how as he grew older, he realized how petty certain things are, like that. And I think about that sometimes, and in this business that I'm in, which is kind of a hybrid of, well, it is show business, radio and stuff is show business. Sometimes you meet these drama queens. I've worked with some of them over the years, and I am anyone that works with me, at least I would hope they would say this, I am the least drama-filled person you'll ever meet in this type of business. Steve and I have worked together for over 30 years because we don't let egos get involved. And, that doesn't mean we don't have spats and disagree and fight sometimes, even maybe on the air. But it's not about ego with us. And the one of the main reasons that I don't get upset at things that some people blow up on is because of that interview I read in Starlog magazine with Gil Gerard back in high school, when he talked about how ridiculous it was for him to get upset about a billboard in the middle of Missouri or something that he was upset about. So he's a pretty wise guy, and his obituary, some very wise words there. All right, Gil Gerard dead at 82. Buck Rogers in the 25th century. All right, enough of that. We'll take our break at the bottom. I'll get back into the issues, I promise. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Oh, man. All right. Now, I don't know if this is going to work on the radio, so I'm going to play it for you guys here because this is a lot of this is a visual. Let me pull this up. Is this it? Okay. Mark Levin. President Trump had Mark Levin come up, and I think Mark Levin might have been a little inappropriate here. Let me know what you think. And he comes up and puts his hands on the president. This is last night at Mar-a-Lago.
Say a couple of words. Come here, darling. And these people do like Israel. Hold on.
See, look at this. He's got his arm around the president.
And he loves Israel, too.
It's true.
2 seconds. 6 years ago, I was up here, and I said, this is our first Jewish president. Now he's the first Jewish president to serve two not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
That's right. Bad things happened on the second one, namely the election.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you guys think about Mark Levin not only putting his arm around President Trump, but pulling him in like that? I don't know. It just seems strange to me and maybe inappropriate. What do you guys think? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Let me see here. When are we going to be back? I didn't like it, and I thought. Now this just me. Now again, I am historically not a big fan of Mark Levin, so I do have some bias there. But I think that was done on purpose. I think I think it was inappropriate. I think it was a violation of the president's personal space. I've never seen anyone do that. And he just didn't put his arm around him. He pulled him in tight to him. And that is, that's almost to show off to the crowd that he's equal to, or Trump is under his control. And I still stand by that. I think Mark Levin's a never Trumper. Okay. And I think in his mind, he believes he has manipulated President Trump into his support of Israel and taken out of the reactor in Iran. But look at the, forgetting about what they said, look at that does President Trump look comfortable there to you? Does he look like he likes it? You know, President Trump is not into doing something like that. I don't think he likes it. and I think it was Mark Levin showing off to his donors and supporters. It was almost like he was taking possession of President Trump, like President Trump is under his. And by the way, I'm a strong supporter of Israel. I support Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro's positions on Israel 1,000%. So I'm not one of these anti-Israel Republicans. Okay, I'm a strong supporter of Israel, but I think that was inappropriate. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I think it was inappropriate. I think he invaded his space, showing off to his Mark Levin, showing off to his donors, because he does have them, right? That he's got Trump under control. That's what I think. And I don't mean that as some Jewish conspiracy, because I'm a strong supporter of Israel. I'm talking about Mark Levin, who I think is a egomaniac. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. At 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call, no matter where you are. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. But I want you guys to call and let me know, because I don't like Mark Levin, and I haven't since he became a never-Trumper in the first campaign. So I want to know if you feel the same way as I do about this, or am I just biased because I don't like him? You know? All right, 10 seconds. Welcome back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Vicky from Virginia.
Hey, Vicky. What's on your mind?
Listen, Brian, there is a video that is circulating right now about a Hollywood tape of roasting Rob Reiner. And in this video, the comedian is talking about how Rob Reiner's father sexually abused him, and when he
listen. Here's what. Slow down for a second. Slow down. I don't know that that's true, and until I I wouldn't talk about. Even though everyone's passed away that would be involved in that, I wouldn't talk about something like that until I know for sure from a more credible source. And and we do ourselves a disservice when we do that, right? Because there's so many things about Rob Reiner that we have found out that are factual, that we have video and audio proof of. It's best to stick with what we know and not what is secondhand gossip until we get more information. I mean, that's my opinion on that, and you know what I'm saying? Now, if it's true about Carl Reiner, the great Carl Reiner, I mean, there could be relevance to what's happened, right? Because I heard somebody, like as an example, I heard someone tell a very anecdotal, bizarro thing about Carl Reiner and his son yesterday that I'm not. There's certain things that, okay. I was on, I don't know if any of you guys caught me on Newsmax over the weekend. I was on Wendy Bell's show on Newsmax over the weekend. And Wendy Bell had asked me about the President Trump calling the reporter Miss Piggy, and if I thought it was appropriate or not. And I told her, of course, that it was. And what was inappropriate was the reporter interrupting the president. And what President Trump does when he calls out these, and I talked to Wendy Bell about this, when these reporters are called out by President Trump, sometimes he calls them terrible people, all kinds of names. He's holding them accountable because they're not responsible news people and broadcasters. And when you're broadcasting publicly, as I do, you have to have a certain sense of responsibility before you go public with things. And I'm going to give you two recent ones other than this one, okay? Why I'm not going that route with Rob Reiner, okay? Because I want you to understand. Because the things I talk about are things that I either know for a fact or things that are being reported by multiple credible sources. There was a story, they got the pipe bomber a week or so ago, right? There was a story in the Gateway Pundit a couple of weeks back where they had thought they had a story that they had identified the pipe bomber, that it was a police officer, and they had photographs and everything. And they thought they identified the person based on their stance. I didn't share that story because I read it. I thought that their sourcing was weak, and I was waiting for a second source like Breitbart or somebody else to report it, because and sure enough, it wasn't, because the person that they said they identified as the pipe bomber was a white woman, and the real pipe bomber is a black man. Okay, there's a story right now that's all over social media that very well may be true, but I need better sourcing. They've released these enhanced videos of the Brown University shooter, right? And this guy is very distinctive, not just in his build, but in his stance and in his walk. The way he walks is very unusual. There's no one that knows that guy that doesn't recognize him based on his walk and stance.
He walks like he has a limp or something wrong with one of his legs or something.
And
like that.
Walking with his hands behind his back. American men don't walk that way. That's a common thing with Muslim men and Asians. Asians and Muslim men walk with their hands behind their back like that. American men don't. Okay? It's even by the way, American Muslims and American Asians don't walk that way. These are foreign people. So on X, he has not been identified yet by any news outlet. Any. They're talking about the enhanced video. However, on X, formerly known as Twitter, a lot of people are saying they know who it is and they're identifying him. And until I see that reported by a credible news person, like yesterday, I was talking about the Allah Akbar. Laura Loomer's reported that, who, by the way, is engaged to be married now. President Trump dropped that at Mar-a-Lago last night. Laura Loomer's engaged. Laura Loomer's a credible source. So when if Laura Loomer were to say, if I saw her say this is the guy, I would report it. But nobody else has that's credible. So I'm not going public with that right now. So anyway, back to this thing that you were talking about with the Reiners. Unlike these fake news reporters, I'm responsible in what I share. I don't share things unless I have credible sourcing. That doesn't mean that it will be that later on a development may come and it'll be inaccurate, but I go with credible sourcing at the time.
Well, the thing what I was just, and I understand what you're saying, but what I was saying is the killing with his son, to me, it seems like more of an anger type killing. It draw me to remember the Menendez brothers and so forth, that the anger that they had for the parents. So I mean, you know, I will wait to see, if it develops.
Well, the
But,
Menendez brothers' defense very well may be Rob Reiner's son's defense. Same, similar thing. Because I heard someone online yesterday say something that they say they saw on a movie set that Rob Reiner with his son. I'm not sharing it because it's only one thing that one person heard, and I don't know if I believe the Menendez brothers that they were molested. Okay, when they killed their parents, they took the money and started living like millionaires. Okay, so I don't know if that's true or not with the Menendez brothers. I don't think they got a fair trial.
Okay.
But, you know, and their lawyer sucked. But and their lawyer had a personal thing with the judge. The judge and the lawyer had a long history of not liking each other. It was a mess. But the Menendez brothers had claimed they murdered their parents because the father had molested them. That was the defense. And that may be Rob Reiner's son's defense. Who knows?
Yeah. Now, one last thing, the situation where they indicated that the Obamas were supposed to meet with Rob Reiner or something like that. Have you heard that the Obamas are actively seeking either, I don't know if it's ownership or some sort of ownership for Netflix? So could that be?
That goes back years ago. Years ago, they had made a deal with Netflix when Obama first left office. They'd made a deal with Netflix back then, a multi-million-dollar deal. Are they looking to buy it now again? I don't know.
Yeah, they're heavily involved in that situation where I think it was who it is that is trying to merge or trying to buy out. I forgot how it was going, but they're actively involved in that too. The Obamas, as far as the Netflix.
If the Obamas bought Netflix, it would be the end of Netflix. You know, I have Netflix. I've canceled Netflix so many times I can't even remember. But then every once in a while there'll be something that I want to see. You know, like Squid Game. I got it back because of Squid Game, or I wanted to see. I had canceled it, but then I wanted to see the final season of Longmire, so I got it again. You know, so I'm out of all the streaming apps, Netflix is the one I find the least to watch on. It's not
because Netflix is.
Yeah, go ahead.
The movies in Netflix now are very questionable. I mean, you were sitting there watching a great movie, and all of a sudden, something comes on the screen that is like, wait a minute now. So Netflix has really changed a lot. The type of movies that they have. There's a lot of LGBTQ stuff that. Yeah, I mean,
it's very woke.
It just takes away from.
It's very woke, and Stranger Things is one of the most overrated series ever in history. You know, it to me, you know, listen, I try to tune out politics with entertainment, or we would watch nothing, right? You know, like I was talking about Gil Gerard earlier, right? He's a lifelong Democrat, you know, and he was from Arkansas, so he did a lot of work for Bill Clinton, right? But I never let that get him in between me and my love for Buck Rogers. You know, I try to separate it, but the problem with Netflix and the things you're talking about, Hollywood doesn't want you to separate it. They're hitting you over the head with their liberal garbage all the time, and their wokeism and their social justice warriorship and all this crap.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That is true.
All right. Well, listen, I am aware of what you brought up to me, but I'm waiting until that gets better sourcing before I talk about it.
Well, fair enough.
Okay, take care. I hope you guys understand that. I got to be, you know, I don't want to be like Candace Owens and just irresponsible and say crazy things on the air just to get attention. I guess I could do that. Let's take our break. And, let me tell you guys about, of course, the next governor of Minnesota, Mike Lindell. Oh, man, Mike Lindell at MyPillow. There's huge deals going on right now. There's still time to order for Christmas, guys. And the Christmas specials are absolutely amazing at MyPillow.com. You can get the Giza Dream Sheets for over 50% off right now with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. The 6-piece MyPillow towel set, save 50% on those. The premium MyPillow, save over 50% off of those. Huge deals site-wide on everything. The MyPillow slippers, just $39.98. All with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. And you remember, you can use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, on all the specials at mypillow.com, not just the ones I talk about, including the 5-pack children's Bible story pillow. Each pillow has a different story of the Bible for your kids and grandkids. Great Christmas gifts. Go to mypillow.com. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, for huge savings site-wide. We'll be right back.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta, and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
How would you like to make your child's Christmas unforgettable? You can do just that with Santa Voice. With Santa Voice, you generate a personal message from Santa. It's fast, fun, and magical. Just search Santa Voice in the App Store. That's Santa Voice in the App Store. Sometimes, the hardest thing to ask for is help. And yet, behind closed doors, millions of families are struggling with the basics. The light bill, the rent, the phone that keeps them connected to work and school. Not because they failed, but because life hits hard. That's why there's CloakedCare.com, a first-of-its-kind platform built on dignity, privacy, and real compassion. At CloakedCare.com, people can privately post the essential bills they're fighting to keep up with. Utilities, medical cost, rent, phone, and more. And donors can choose a bill and pay directly toward it, with funds sent straight to the verified service providers. There's no uncertainty, no middlemen, just real help for real needs. CloakedCare.com was founded by Marine Corps veteran Leighton Clybourne and was named the best anonymous bill payment service in the United States for 2025, honoring its transparent and innovative approach to modern giving. At CloakedCare.com, every contribution makes a measurable impact, keeping a home warm, a phone connected, or the lights on during a tough month. It's people helping people, quietly, respectfully, transparently. CloakedCare.com. That's CloakedCare. Visit today to ask for help or to be the help someone's been praying for. CloakedCare.com.
Yeah, we have about a minute until we get back. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to take some more calls when we get back. And if you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Let's see. Yep. Oh man, I got a long day today. I got to go to Miami with my wife when I get off the air today for the day. There's a doctor's appointment in Miami. I hate driving to Miami. All right, hold on. It's 20 seconds. By the way, Tom, thanks for that super chat. Thank you. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Laura in Lithia.
Laura, where?
In Lithia. It's just outside of Tampa.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of Lithia, Florida. Wow.
Well, it's here. It's here. It's pretty big, actually.
Is it? I've lived here all my life. I've never heard of it. Okay.
Well, it grew in the last 10 years.
Oh, okay.
It's like a suburb.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but at any rate, I wanted to talk about this Providence shooting. This police department seems very reluctant to talk about what the guy yelled when he came into the room and started shooting. And I think they want to maintain control of this investigation and do not want the FBI to come in. But if the guy yelled Allahu Akbar, as I've heard a couple of students have said, then would that make it under the jurisdiction of the FBI?
Well, this is the thing. While I am not identifying the person, it's been on X. There's been a suspect name, but no media outlets or credible journalist has yet done it, based on the enhanced video of him walking around. So when that happens, I'll get into some detail about who it is. But I'll tell you a little bit of background on the person that Twitter X has identified as the shooter. They're Muslim, they're Palestinian, they're a student at Brown, and their support, they have a connection and support. They have a manifesto online, which has been deleted.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, they have a manifesto online, which has been deleted. A social media signature that's been deleted. But and I can't remember if it's on the deleted social media or the manifesto. I was reading through it this morning. They support those Palestinian terrorist organization that was just busted in Los Angeles, if it's the person they've identified. And looking at the photos of the person's body, it's pretty, that's a Humpty Dumpty body, and the walking and all, and a student at the school. And Mark Halprin, the journalist Mark Halprin, yesterday, he works with Megyn Kelly, he said that his reporting is telling him that the main target was the Republican club girl that was killed, not the professor.
Well, that's what I wondered, yeah. And this police department's totally incompetent, and I think they do not want Trump or the FBI to get any kind of credit for this guy.
Well, the question is, these are definitely woke people that run Providence, Rhode Island, okay?
Right.
Here's the question. If the shooter is this Islamic jihadi, right, would they rather capture the person or let them get away because they're so woke? Are they so liberal that they sympathize with an Islamic person like this doing this and would like them to get away? What do you think? I know that seems crazy, but we're talking about some very woke people, and I think that they would rather them get away.
Well, it would totally unravel their narrative for it to be a Palestinian, for sure.
Well, the guy may be an American citizen. I don't know, but if it's the person they're saying he's Muslim, American, if he's an American, he's Muslim and he supports Palestinian causes and everything else. And by the way, I don't buy this that they don't have this guy all over cameras. I don't buy it. I do not buy it. They were called out by the press yesterday in the press conference, and they're saying, "Well, it's a new building, but it's connected to an old building." My cameras from Sloman's on my house. I've got incredible. I don't know if you guys remember. A couple of weeks ago, I went out to my car and stepped in dog dew. And I said, I'm going to go through the camera and find out. It took me I found out which one of my neighbors let their dog go in my yard. I know who did it. I haven't confronted them, but if I see them walking by, I'll conveniently go out to check the mail, even if there's no mail, even if I've already checked it. But I know who did it. And there was no mistaking it because I've got such great cameras. And I'm assuming Brown has cameras at least as good as my Sloman's cameras.
Well, you would think with tuition at $100,000 a year that they could afford ultra security on it.
But you gotta understand the two people that were the main targets, the people that run Providence and run Brown, they think they're Nazis. The girl that headed up the Republican Club and the Jewish professor that supports Israel, they think they're Nazis.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. I just hope they catch him and it all comes out.
Oh, they're going. If it's this person, they've already caught him. And the next investigation needs to. What did the Providence police and authorities know, and when did they know it? Right. Because they very well could be obstructing justice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so frustrating to watch.
So
these news
Lithia
conferences.
is where you're from? I got to look that up. Lithia, Florida, near
It's
Tampa.
right outside of Tampa.
How far from Tampa?
And, maybe 15 miles from the city.
Really?
center.
Wow. Okay. You know,
Yeah,
people are
there's a
telling me
huge-
Tampa used to be a dump. People are telling me Tampa is really nice now, but it's very woke. Is that true?
Well, my area has a lot of military. We're a bedroom community.
Well, I remember Tampa is Hillsborough County, right?
Yep.
Are you in Hillsborough County?
Yes.
Okay. If my recollection is, correct me if I'm wrong, but during the lockdowns, didn't the sheriff of Hillsborough County arrest a minister for preaching in his church?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
think
when in
so.
America do we arrest preachers for preaching in a church? I've never heard of such a thing, except in Hillsborough County, Florida. You know?
Only when the Democrats are in charge. And we have a woke mayor in Tampa, but of course that's not.
And I'm sure it's the same sheriff, isn't it? Still?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty woke. Pretty bad.
Right.
And I got to tell you,
sad,
around the
but-
Tampa airport, there's more strip clubs in the 2 square mile area around the Tampa airport than any other place on earth.
How do you know that? Exactly?
Because I used to MC Star Trek conventions around the country, and there were 2 a year in Tampa, and I'd fly to Tampa twice a year, and I would drive from the airport to the hotel, and there were just strip clubs nonstop. I used to joke about it to whoever I was in the car with. You know, let's see how many strip clubs we can count between here and the hotel. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's how I know
Well,
it.
it was pretty tawdry for a while,
Yeah.
but I think Tampa is coming into its own.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Republicans are gaining more control in the Tampa area, not in the city, but in the Hillsborough County.
Yeah. All right. Hey, listen, appreciate the call. All right. Take care. I must say, we've had some higher quality callers today than in a row, which is good. The callers have been you've been great today so far, guys. We got a couple hours to go. Well, I only have a minute till the top of the hour. So you know what? I'm not going to, if you're on hold, stand by. I'll go to the phones after the break. There's a lot of news to cover that I have not yet covered, but I will go to your calls after the break. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to remind you guys about Wings Plus. I was telling Steve yesterday, on Friday, I got a call from one of our listeners early on in the first hour that she had her company Christmas party at Wings Plus in Coral Springs on Sample Road. Wings Plus, everything is homemade at Wings Plus. Nothing comes out of a can, including the great sauces on the wings. Wings Plus is located on Sample Road, about a mile west of University Drive, on the south side of Sample Road in Coral Springs. When you're in there, tell Brian Walsh, not me, Brian Walsh, that you heard about him on the Steve Kane Show. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. The number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back right after this. Boy, oh boy, guys, I tell you. We'll be right back.
This is George Colony. I'm in the real estate business in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Kai's Real Estate. I've been in business for 6 decades. People often ask me, what's the right time to buy or sell real estate? To tell you the truth, it's always the right time. You just need to have the right advice from the right advisor. You could call me anytime because I answer my phone on the first ring. My number is 954-801-7320. That's my personal cell phone number. And I answer it on the first ring every time. Please give me a call. I'm happy to answer any question that you have. My cell phone number is 954-801-7320.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Hank from Hollywood. How you doing?
All right, Hank. What's on your mind?
I called Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. He sent out Scott. Now, Scott is absolutely the best. Scott and Scott's crew are the absolute best. They gave me a great price. They did the job when they said they were going to do it. They finished the job when they said they were going to do it. The materials they used, absolutely the best. I want to thank Tom. I definitely want to thank Scott, and definitely want to thank Scott's crew. These people are number one, and I just want your listeners to know, Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. If you need a new roof, call Tom at Tom Laporta Roofing. You're not going to go wrong. you're not going to be disappointed.
Do what Hank did. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, laportaroofing.com. This is Brian Craig. I've been telling you about the great deals and incredible customer service at Friendly Tire on both new tires and used tires. One of our listeners, Antonio, went to Friendly Tire and called to share with us his experience of buying used tires at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Good morning, you're on the radio.
Hey, yes, Brian, I want to give you a quick testimony about the tire place up in Margate, Friendly Tire. Friendly Tire is everything you said it would be, man. I went up there and got me some used tires, and when I went up there, man, he was very courteous. My whole family's going from now on, man. Everything you said it was going to be, man. I appreciate you for that, man. And Mike's a great guy, man.
Well, what's your name?
Antonio.
All right, Antonio. Hey, I'm glad we could save you and your family lots of money on tires at Friendly Tire.
Oh, no doubt, man. Thanks so much, man.
Do what Antonio did. Stop into Friendly Tire and find incredible deals on both new and used tires. Give Friendly Mike a call right now. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. And Mike will give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. Do you want healthier chickens, stronger immunity, and rich golden yolked eggs without relying on chemicals? Of course you do, but how do you do it, and where do you even begin? That's easy with the new book from author Mary Butler, The Herbal Hen House, Nurturing Your Chickens with Nature's Remedies, available on Amazon. Author Mary Butler is a devoted chicken keeper and herbal enthusiast who brings more than a decade of hands-on experience straight to your coop. The Herbal Hen House is a warm, practical guide that shows you how to use safe, effective herbs to support digestion, boost immunity, and improve egg quality, as well as help prevent common flock problems naturally. When you read The Herbal Hen House, you'll discover easy, beginner-friendly herbal remedies, simple DIY blends that you can make at home, as well as clear guidance on what's safe, what to avoid, and how to care for chickens at every stage of life, from chicks to senior hens. Whether you're raising your very first flock or have been tending chickens for years, The Herbal Hen House gives you the confidence to ditch those harsh chemicals and raise healthier, happier chickens the natural way. The Herbal Hen House, Nurturing Your Chickens with Natural Remedies, from author Mary Butler, is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Order your copy right now. Your chickens will thank you.
All right, we will be back in about 30 seconds, and if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to go right to the phones in the next hour. Oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy. Yeah, I still have... let me get back to this one. It's driving me nuts. All right, we're back. Callers on hold, stand by. The 7 o'clock hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. It's Steve Kane Show. I had mentioned in the first hour that since I heard that Anthony Geary died from Luke and Laura General Hospital, I've had Think of Laura by Christopher Cross in my head. And then when I referenced it, it's in my head. Not only do I have Think of Laura, I love Think of Laura by... Does anyone not love Christopher Cross? He still sounds good, by the way. Not only do I have Think of Laura stuck in my head, it's the same line from Think of Laura. Think of Laura. I'm not going to sing it. If I start to say it, I'll think it. You know she'd want it that way. You know that line? I've got that song stuck in my head with just that one line. You know she'd want it that way. Over and over again for the last day, but mostly in the last 90 minutes since I referenced it the first time. I'm going nuts here. Oh, my goodness. But I do still love the song, Christopher Cross. All right, let's go. The number 888-465-2631. 888-465. I wonder if Al Knight on the weekend is Christopher Cross on our radio station mix, Al Knight? Sailing, Arthur's Theme, and Think of Laura, since Anthony Geary died from General Hospital. I don't know. Is Christopher Cross in our mix on True Oldies? I don't know. But... how do you get a song out of your head? I guess you get another one into your head. It's driving me up the wall. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is George, the airplane driver for the Air Force and ex-CIA. I want to thank you and all your listeners for the prayers for my twin brother, Jacob. He passed away yesterday morning.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
So thank you. I appreciate all the prayers from everybody, and I'm doing okay, so I'm still working and driving.
Let me ask you, you're an Uber driver?
Well, I was. I'm a private driver now.
Oh, you're a private driver? And you're in your 80s? I forgot how old you are. You're up there.
Yeah, no, my twin and I were 94.
94? Oh, my goodness, 94. Okay. I thought you were a youngin' in your 80s. You're 94. Were you guys identical twins?
We're fraternal twins, and God, I miss him.
Let me ask you.
Okay,
I want to ask you this. Because this is because at your age of 94, a serious question. Okay, because I'm a lot younger than you. I'm 54. You're 94, and I'm at that age now where everybody around me is dying. I've had friends die.
Yes.
All the celebrities that I grew up with and idolized have died. I mean, I don't know. I guess, is it something you just kind of get used to and are glad you're not one of them? Or is it, I mean, obviously your brother's a different story. But
you get used to it. All my crew members that I flew with for decades, they're all gone. And, of course, most people are gone. When I get to 94, everybody's, behind you and they're gone.
Well, my wife's grandmother lived into her 90s. And she told not long before she died, and I'm going to ask you if this is if this is true with you. Not long before she died, she told my wife she outlived everybody she knew. She outlived everybody she knew, right? She said she said things have changed so much in the world. I feel like I don't even belong in it anymore.
That's true. That's true.
Really?
By the way, I'm so fortunate. I still have perfect memory, hearing, eyesight, etc.
Well, listen, God bless you, and I'm sorry about the loss of your brother.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you all, my listeners. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Take care. Yeah, and I know you guys. I know. End of the year. What a depressing conversation I just had, but, it's curiosity. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, IB.
Hey, IB. How you doing?
I'm breathing.
Yeah.
Great. I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in for a while, but when the Reverend called in about the guy saying Allah, it's not Allah, Allah.
Allah Akbar.
He said it with the perfect accent. So he knows the guy. I already figured that guy.
Oh, wait a second. Let me go back. Hold on. Slow down a second. You're going back. The teaching assistant. I played the interview from CNN earlier. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
You think he knew? Yeah. You think he knew who the shooter was and he was hiding it?
Yes.
Wow. Well, that would, or do you think he told it to the cops and was just hiding it from CNN because he doesn't want to get ratted out for turning in a terrorist? It could be dangerous.
No, he wouldn't have gone the extra mile. Anyone who reports something like that would have more energy. They will be like, "Oh, he came in like this. Oh, everybody jumped behind the desk and da da da." He was too casual about it.
Well, that makes him an accessory, doesn't it?
Co-conspirator. Now look, co-conspirator because no one should make the statement that no one understood what he said. In this day and age, everyone knows that to hear it is to like reflexively, you know what it means. So for him to say, well, no one knew what it meant, and he cannot make a blanket statement like that, and then to go on and on all those different.
Do you know what Allah Akbar is translated into in English? Do you know?
Praise their Abraham God.
No.
To death we come
Allah Akbar.
and get our 70 virgins.
Nope. Allah Akbar in English means run for your life, duck, seek out cover. That's what it means. That's what it means.
I'm thinking of the
You hear somebody yell out Allah Akbar, duck for cover, run for the hills.
There you go. But at the same time, it could be someone blowing themselves up and going to their God and getting them in their 70 virgins. So it can go either way. And as for last night's meeting, when that lady said, Alan Dershowitz said, you could probably get 4 more years, that was like mouth dropping the floor moment, because for her to even mention that live, who knows if it was intended to be, or if it came naturally, or was it just put out there because we need to nuke them. We have to filibuster them. That's our last resort, because they're finding ways to steal our Republicans who may never have been Republicans. You call them rats. We can call them rhinos. But look how our Republicans are kind of dropping off like flies. So they're going to leave Trump with no alternative. We're eventually going to use the filibuster, because this is the only way to stop the Democrats, so they cannot do these shenanigans. Plus, we got the new budget coming up, and they're going to give us another fight and create more havoc there.
And
more
end of
problems,
January.
shutting
End
down
of
the
January.
government.
Yeah, the end of January.
It's going to go, and we're going back to this and going round and round and round again. So we're going to have to nuke them. One more thing on Venezuela. The Monroe Doctrine must come into play now. America already have the right by 2 presidents to defend the Western Hemisphere from foreign and domestic. So what's going on in Venezuela, rounding all of these scoundrels up, like you said, it's always been the Latinos coming up here causing all the havoc, right? Correct?
Yeah.
It's them. So now they are in circles. No one comes in, no one goes out.
That's
we
awesome.
nuke the problem, and then we're going to send our forces in to take care of the rest of them. We have to nip it in the bud.
That's
Zero
true.
people across
All right,
the board.
listen, IB, I gotta run for a break, but it's good to hear from you. Take care. Call again sometime. If you're on hold, stand by. It is sad. We're losing a lot of people. And you know what? It's like this every December. When you get close to the end of the year, Christmas and New Year's, you start seeing all these celebrity deaths in the news. Some of them hit harder than others, and that's just a part of it. Okay, listen, we're going to take a quick break. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll go back to the phones after the break. My name's Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show. Our number toll-free, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Okay. I was hoping to hear from some of you about the, let me pull it up again. If you're on hold, stand by. I was hoping to hear from some of you about what I played from Mark Levin a little while ago. I'm going to play the Adelson on the air again. But this is, this was at Mar-a-Lago last night. And I think that Mark Levin was inappropriate here. He calls Mark Levin up. What they're talking about is not important, but look what Mark Levin does. He puts his arm around Trump, and look at that. He pulls him in, and he doesn't let go. And I've never seen someone do this. Does President Trump look comfortable with that? And I think Mark Levin is showing possession of President Trump. I think he's showing off to his rich donors, Mark Levin showing off to his rich donors the control he has over Trump, that he can do. I've never seen anybody put their hands on President Trump like that, pull him in, and he won't let go. And I find it wrong. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It really ticks me off. I don't think he likes President Trump still. And I'd like to hear what you guys think about that. Because, again, I tell you guys, I'm very biased because I don't like Mark Levin. Okay? He was a never-Trumper in the first campaign. I think he still is a never-Trumper. But he thinks he's, one of the most brilliant people that's ever lived. And I think he believes he manipulates Trump. Mark Levin thinks that Trump took out the nuclear reactor because of him and Ben Shapiro. And I support Israel, and I agree with Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro on all their positions on Israel. Okay, so it's not a political thing. I just don't like him. And I'd like to give me a call and share your. It doesn't play on the radio, so I can't play the video on the radio. But you guys here, do you think Trump President Trump's a germaphobe? No, I've never seen anyone do that with the president. And then stay there for so long. So the number's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Do you think this was appropriate or inappropriate? And what do you think Mark Levin was doing here? Do you think my analysis of what he was doing, that he was showing off to his financial supporters, Mark Levin? I think it was. I think it's exactly what he was doing. I saw that. I've seen that move once before. Who's the guy, the actor? He's not American. He was in the movie version of SWAT. What's his name? He was in the movie version of SWAT with Samuel L. Jackson. He played Street. I love that movie. I've seen it 100 times. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Callers on hold, stand by. I was talking about these celebrity deaths. Every December, you see people just dying all the time. It's the deadliest month of the year for heart attacks, especially Christmas and New Year's Day. And that's why Life Imaging FLA offers free heart scans with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. And by the way, when you go over there, make sure you take advantage of their cancer screening too. Ask them about that. I've had both those scans. Life Imaging FLA, they're all about preventative health. We had a listener call in. He went in, had the heart scan, found out about a heart problem he didn't even know he had. He had no symptoms. He took the results to his doctor, and his doctor is taking care of it now, and he's okay. That happens all the time at Life Imaging FLA. People go over there, they have no symptoms, and they find out they have over 80% blockage. Life Imaging FLA is all about proactive healthcare. They have locations in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County. Give them a call. Pick up your cell phone and call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250 and say free heart scan. Pound 250 from your cell phone, say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Hey,
Good
Richie.
morning. I want to talk about Brown University real quick here.
Colin Farrell, thank you.
When you always say Trump is, everyone says Trump is right. He's always been right.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to say this to you: Israel has always been right, and we're in trouble in this country with what Biden did, and this. I looked at X. Brian, if this isn't the guy, I didn't drive a bus for 32
I
years.
agree with you, but I need it reported by a credible source before I can go public with it.
But I understand your position. This guy has disappeared from what I understand. Nobody knows where he is.
Well, and his online manifesto and social media have been wiped. So was that done by law enforcement or him? And the shooting of the MIT professor, is it the same guy that shot the MIT professor?
Well, the girl that got shot, first of all, you could see that the person of interest, he was there earlier in the morning that morning, and he was checking out the area. Now, he had to have been a student and known everything about
The person that X is saying is a student there at Brown.
Yeah, you'd have to be a student there to know that it was a study class, and somebody was shot twice, and that girl was in charge of I understand, Israeli Jewish studies.
The professor.
She was yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, this to me, and then I seen an interview yesterday. Nate Fieldman. I think his name is Nate Fieldman. He's a YouTube reporter.
Mm-hmm.
He goes undercover to all these Palestinian marches and exposes everything.
Oh my goodness!
He went to England. Yeah, he's Nate Friedman. Okay, it's Friedman.
Oh, okay.
Nate Friedman.
Mm-hmm.
He actually interviewed Tommy Robinson yesterday. It's on it. And I got to tell you something. Your hair will stand up. They're not celebrating Christmas in France. Because they're afraid they're going to get torched.
And they're silencing, and they're beginning to phase out Christmas in England. And Christmas,
danger.
Let me tell you, Christmas historically has been bigger in England than even in the United States, if that's hard to believe. And and they're phasing out Christmas in England. Yeah.
Germany too. All the Christmas stuff, because they're lost control of Europe because they're threatened with these extremists.
Well, and they're overtaking their culture. I read a couple years ago, I was reading something in the UK, and they're saying that they were saying this is before the Queen died. And by the way, I don't mean Elton John. I'm talking about Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England. The Queen. They said the Queen of England's family line is connected to the Prophet Muhammad. They were saying this in England. And I heard recently a priest in Europe talking about how Muslims believe in the divinity of Jesus and the Virgin Mary as well. And I'm like, what? If they believe in the divinity of Jesus, they're not Muslims. But they in Europe, Europe has fallen. It's gone. It's wiped out.
Mohammed is the number one new baby name in England.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't make it up.
Yeah.
You couldn't. So bottom line is, I believe that Brown University, by the way, they're the most liberal. I understand. I watched the PD, Patrick Bet-David podcast. They're more liberal than Harvard. They're the most liberal college in the United States.
Yep.
They're all woke. They're all woke. And I got a feeling they're trying to keep this under the lid because of all the Palestinian students.
I'll ask you. I asked this of a caller in the last hour. The walk and stance of the Brown University shooter is so bizarre and unique. Everybody that's ever encountered this guy knows exactly who it is. And Twitter has identified the guy, so they say. Here's my question. Do you think that the Providence authorities, the press conference people that we've been seeing since the weekend, do you think they would rather, if it's the person they say, they would rather him get away than get caught? That they're so liberal and woke that they understand his grievances and motivations and would like him to get away rather than get caught? What do you think?
I don't know about that, but if it turns out to be this guy, it makes them look like Keystone Cops.
Makes them look like accessories. Makes them look like accessories.
Yeah, but it also if the guy on YouTube. The basic things, this guy did the basic FBI things online to find this guy, and they haven't done it.
All right, Richie, I'll check that out. Appreciate the call. Well, no, I can take another call or two. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen, what's up?
Hi there. I just heard Richie talking about that Tommy Robinson interview. It was frightening. It's long. If anybody can listen to it, it's a long, but it is so frightening.
Well, don't do it till after 9 a.m. Don't do anything now. After 9 a.m.
Yeah, of course.
Don't do anything till after 9
a.m. So Nate Friedman, he's
I know who he is.
He's really great.
I've seen some of his work. He's very good. I haven't seen the Tommy Robinson interview, but
yeah, and so so he talks about the takeover of the UK over there. And he says, it is coming to us. It is here. We got Dearborn, Michigan, and as a perfect example,
New York City,
which I'm
New York
from
City,
Michigan.
New York City.
Yep, New York City. And once you let them go on for so long, it's over. I say Trump needs to get over there in the UK and take care of it.
I tell you, Robinson, wouldn't Tommy Robinson be a great prime minister? I love Tommy Robinson.
I've never heard of him before.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. They put him in jail so many times over there. It's amazed he's still free.
Well, what does
the first time I heard of Tommy Robinson, I'll tell you, the first time I heard of Tommy Robinson was I don't remember how many years ago, but it was many years ago. And he came on my radar many years ago. He was driving around in his car showing all the Muslim neighborhoods and what was happening.
Yeah.
And there was an incident, an honor killing or something that he had focused on. And because he was exposing this, they started putting him in jail. They've sent him to prison more than once. I can't believe he's a free man.
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised he can talk like that.
Let me tell you, Tommy Robinson is the greatest Englishman since Winston Churchill, and that is not an exaggeration.
Yeah, and if you saw that 1 million all those people, remember that march over there? Mm-hmm. A million people at least.
Yeah, read up on Tommy Robinson's history and how he became well known. He's amazing.
Yeah, so we have to pay attention. Although Nate Friedman was saying well the people over here they're okay, seem okay with it. Why don't they fight back if it's so
because
bad?
Listen, my wife was telling me she saw Sharon Osbourne and Pierce Morgan recently, okay? And of course they're both English, and they have no problem with it. They don't care if their culture gets wiped out. That it's just developing. And my mother-in-law is originally from Canada. She's been an American as long as I have, though, right? She's an immigrant here, and she's an American. But her Canadian family, my wife has a cousin who lives in London, and she's very successful. She lives on the same street as Beckham. Okay, so she's pretty successful in the banking industry. And she was telling us, we were talking, she was talking about the Muslims and, having the Sharia and all this. She's like, well, they're here. It's their culture. Why should they not have their own laws? She said. Why should they not have their own laws, the Muslims in London? I'm like, are you out of your mind? But that's how liberalism is. They're sick. Liberals are sick.
And unfortunately, they want to. It's not just they don't stick to their. They don't want to just in their situation. They want to make that happen in America and turn everything like that. The way that what they're doing, it's the Borg from Star Trek, The Next Generation. They assimilate the places they move to, as opposed to assimilating and becoming English or becoming American. We are the Borg. You must assimilate to them. Yes.
And that's what they do.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's very scary. But again, Nate Friedman was asking the question, well, why do people don't fight back? Well, you know what? We are the same way. We just let it go. We don't think we see people being killed and beheaded. What are we doing about it? Oh, turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And you listen. I played a clip a couple days ago of Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk, a few months before he died, he went to England and was debating students at Oxford, and he did okay. He didn't do as good with the Oxford kids as the ones over here, but he did good. And he was on a television interview, and he was talking about it was with a liberal interviewer, and he was talking about the Islamification of the UK. And Charlie Kirk asked a great question. The guy was trying to portray him as a bigot. He says, where have the Muslims immigrated to where the country they immigrated to was better off after they went there and not worse off?
Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
And the answer to that is nowhere.
Right. I think that's what Tommy said, too, last night. One last question is, can I see any of those interviews that you did with Newsmax on your YouTube or no?
If you go to the Newsmax website on Wendy Bell's show up there, you should be able to see them. Yeah, I was on. I've been on her show. I don't know, maybe 20 times or so, a bunch of times. But
yeah, I know. I wanted to, but I never was able to get him, so I'll try to do it.
Yeah, but I was on this weekend. Yeah, and it was a pretty good show. I talked
cool.
about yeah.
Are you a regular now or what?
I hope so. I mean, they asked me back a lot. I've been on a lot of the shows on Newsmax, not just hers, but yeah, she gave me my start over there. Yeah, Wendy Bell, very good.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll check it out.
All right,
Thank you.
Appreciate the call.
All right.
Yep. All right. Coastal weight loss secret. Now, if you guys are watching me on YouTube, I am wearing a sweatshirt that I'm wearing a Trump sweatshirt that I have. It's a Trump hoodie. It's a pullover hoodie that I bought from the official Trump store during Trump's first term, and I really haven't worn this too much. I kept it, right? But I haven't worn it too much because it was too small. I grew out of it. Well, now I've grown into it, thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and it fits like it was meant to fit. Maybe it's a little baggy now. This is so awesome to fit in clothes and have a flat. You know, I didn't realize this until I lost over 35 pounds thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. But I knew I was getting a bit of a belly, and I thought, oh, that's just part of, growing older. And I realized, looking down, that I had partially obstructed view when I was looking down, right? Partially obstructed view. And who knows, if I never would have met them over a Coastal Weight Loss Secret, maybe it would have been fully obstructed. You know, like when you get concert tickets, you don't want obstructed view, do you? Well, I had obstructed view looking down. But I don't anymore. I have a completely flat stomach. My belly is gone, and it's amazing. Thank you to Dr. Zuckerman over at Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Give them a call. Remember, Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help you no matter where you are located. Okay, no matter where you are, in America or anywhere. Give them a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear. Boy, oh boy, I tell you. Take a quick break and be back.
Sometimes the hardest thing to ask for is help. And yet behind closed doors, millions of families are struggling with the basics. The light bill, the rent, the phone that keeps them connected to work and school. Not because they failed, but because life hits hard. That's why there's CloakedCare.com, a first-of-its-kind platform built on dignity, privacy, and real compassion. At CloakedCare.com, people can privately post the essential bills they're fighting to keep up with. Utilities, medical cost, rent, phone, and more. And donors can choose a bill and pay directly toward it, with funds sent straight to the verified service providers. There's no uncertainty, no middlemen, just real help for real needs. CloakedCare.com was founded by Marine Corps veteran Leighton Clybourne and was named the best anonymous bill payment service in the United States for 2025, honoring its transparent and innovative approach to modern giving. At CloakedCare.com, every contribution makes a measurable impact, keeping a home warm, a phone connected, or the lights on during a tough month. It's people helping people quietly, respectfully, transparently. CloakedCare.com. That's CloakedCare. Visit today to ask for help or to be the help someone's been praying for. CloakedCare.com.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Hank from Hollywood. How you doing?
All right, Hank. What's on your mind?
I called Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. He sent out Scott. Now, Scott is absolutely the best. Scott and Scott's crew are the absolute best. They gave me a great price. They did the job when they said they were going to do it. They finished the job when they said they were going to do it. The materials they used, absolutely the best. I want to thank Tom. I definitely want to thank Scott, and definitely want to thank Scott's crew. These people are number one, and I just want your listeners to know, Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. If you need a new roof, call Tom at Tom Laporta Roofing. You're not going to go wrong. You're not going to be disappointed.
Do what Hank did. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, laportaroofing.com.
All right, we have less than a minute, and we'll be back. Okay.
person can sit at either.
All right, we are back. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Call us on hold, stand by. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. All right, there's a lot of things I want to cover. I want to mention this. There was a big event at Mar-a-Lago last night, and the Adelson family went up with the president and pledged, I'll play this clip in a bit, but they pledged $250 million in a political donation to Trump's 2028 campaign if he runs for a third term. And that's very exciting. I want to play that for you in a moment. But I wanted to talk about this, what I consider to be very inappropriate action that Mark Levin did there last night. There was an event at there was an event last night, and it had everybody there, and Mark Levin was called up on stage to speak by the president. And what Mark Levin did is, and if any of you seen this, I've been showing it online, those of you that watch online, is he did something I've never seen anyone do to the President of the United States. Now, before I describe it, I wanted to say this, okay? I may be biased here because I do not like Mark Levin. I support Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro's positions on Israel because I'm a strong supporter of Israel, and I support both Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro when it comes to Israel, but I don't like Mark Levin personally. He was a nasty never-Trumper. I still believe he's a never-Trumper. And what Mark Levin did, the president called him up to the podium to speak, and what Mark Levin did that I've not seen anybody do before, now maybe it's happened and I missed it, Mark Levin went up to the president and put his arm around him, and Mark Levin's a big guy. He's the same height as the president. He put his arm around the president and pulled him in to him and held on to him, pulling him into his side while he was speaking. And I was put off by it. Not that Mark Levin cares, but what I think, but the way I took this, I still think Mark Levin does not like President Trump. Now, I do know that he loves Israel. I support Israel too, okay? I really do. You guys have heard me talk about this over the years, and I've been standing up against these anti-Semites. But just because we share a support of Israel doesn't mean we have to like each other, does it? No, it doesn't. And I'd like to, those of you that have seen this with Mark Levin and President Trump last night at this event, with Mark putting his arm completely around President Trump, completely around him, and pulling him into him as he spoke, is my dislike of Mark Levin making me see things that aren't true here? I find it inappropriate, and I think he's showing off Mark Levin. I think Mark Levin is showing off to his financial supporters not only how close he is to the president, but that he can do what no one else has done. Put their hands on the president, put his arm around the president, and pull him up against him while he's speaking. It's of an intimidation move that guys do that like to intimidate and show ownership and show off. I know guys like this. Okay, I've encountered people like this, and there's people that I've had to deal with regularly who are like this, and I always avoid getting into the personal space, letting them invade my personal space. It's a big intimidation move. I saw this once before on television years ago with Colin Farrell, the actor Colin Farrell. This was a long time ago. This is back when he was a big movie star. I can't remember the name of the director that did this, but he's gay. The director's gay, and he directed one of the Batman movies. Was Colin Farrell in one of the Batmans? And it was the director of one of the Batman movies, and with Colin Farrell, it was a red carpet event for a premiere of a movie. I don't know if it was a Batman movie. I don't know what the movie was for. I don't remember. It's been a long time. But Colin Farrell is doing an interview on the red carpet. And the director, who looked like he was drunk off his rear end, this gay director who directed one of the Batman movies. Does anyone know who I'm talking about? I think I know his name, but I don't want to say because I don't want to say the wrong person. He goes over, he interrupts the interview on the red carpet that Colin Farrell's doing, puts his arm around him and holds him in and starts talking. And Colin Farrell's trying to get away from him. And obviously, this guy was showing his possession over Colin Farrell. You know, it's a big, weird move that people do. And that's how I read the thing with Mark Levin at this event last night with the president. And maybe I'm wrong because I don't like the guy. But those of you that have seen it, I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts. 1-888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call, no matter where you're listening. Okay, now, there's another thing that I want to mention, too, here. I've got so much to cover today. And I want to... do I have time? I don't have time. Okay, we're going to have to take a break. When we get back, I want to talk about this Vanity Fair interview that Susie Wiles did, which has been a disaster, and we'll talk about that after the break. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening. 888-465-2631. If you're on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be back right after this.
George Colony.
Hey, George, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, we have about a minute. I'm going to put you on hold, and when you hear me next, we'll be on the air.
Okay.
All right, stand by. All right, we are back, and it's time to check in with George Colony, our real estate guy here on the radio. George Colony, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing well. So, what's the latest in the South Florida real estate world?
Oh wow. Well, I guess 2026 will be the latest because things are looking up.
They sure are. You know, when you say looking up, you know, there's a lot of people out there that own condos. You and I have talked about this a couple times, and they thought they were in a bad spot because after what happened with that building in Miami Beach, you know, a lot of people think that their condos are worthless. But you can actually help people that have condos that are looking to sell and buy, right? The condo market is not dead.
No, it's not dead. It's down a little bit. Obviously, there's a number of things that have taken place, but you know, we're getting calls from people that have condos. Obviously, some of these assessments are hurting people, and the fees that are being charged. But you know, if the prices go down, you know, some of them will sell out, some of them will refinance. But there's answers for them. They don't have to give up.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Don't feel that you're trapped. And you know, another thing that we've talked so much about, George Colony, and this to me is one of the amazing things that you do, is that not you know, a lot of guys that are in the real estate business, they want to get that listing. You know, you're not only there to help somebody sell their home and get the best price possible and get because when you have a client, they want to get as much money as they can from their home. You want to get them into when somebody sells their home, they got to move somewhere. You want to make sure that they get not only the highest price on the home they're selling, but the lowest price on the home that they're moving to.
That's the idea, isn't it?
It is. It is. But they need somebody like you who can actually negotiate the deal. That's the goal. But you're a top negotiator.
Well, I appreciate that. I think what I have is 63 years of being in business, and you know, I may be 83 years old, but I feel like I'm 40.
Yeah.
And I love doing what I'm doing, and I think there's some really great answers. And I think all people have to do is pick up the phone. I've had a lot of calls from your listeners that are most interesting. Really, you've got some really great people out there. Parents wanting to help their children. Parents want to helping their parents. I mean, people want to helping their parents get situated. But right now, you got to look at it. If it's a bad time to sell, and you think it is, then it's got to be a great time to buy.
That's right.
So it's not a one-off transaction. You're going to move from where you are to another place. Hopefully, it's bigger, better than you got. But your appreciation schedule is going to go up a lot faster. There are some really great reasons right now to make the change. I think what happens next year with interest rates down, I'm seeing everything about the tariffs getting straightened out. I think the economy is going to boom like hell. And I think we're all going to be sitting here and said, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
And we shoulda right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, whether it's condos, single-family homes, or even commercial real estate, give George Colony a call. You can call or text George Colony. This number rings directly to George Colony's cell phone. It's 954-801-7320. 954-801-7320. Again, that's 954-801-7320 for George Colony. All right, George Colony, we'll talk later in the week.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, take care. He's a good guy. And by the way, thanks, everyone. Those of you who support our sponsors, including George Colony, thank you very much. Okay, so I want to talk about this. Susie Wiles did an interview with Vanity Fair that's just been a disaster. And like everyone else, you know, I got to ask, why would Susie Wiles talk to Vanity Fair, right? I mean, they're going to do nothing but destroy you. And what they did is they took things she said. Well, let me play. This is Caroline Levitt. She was on Fox yesterday talking about, let me play a little bit of this. Caroline Levitt on Fox talking about the Susie Wiles Vanity Fair interview.
On Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, and the president's inner circle. I mean, clearly there was a lot of cooperation between the White House and Vanity Fair on this because there's numerous interviews that Susie Wiles had with the writer over the course of pretty much a year. Portraits were taken of his inner circle, including her, J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller. I mean, it looks like the White House was working hand in glove with Vanity Fair, and yet here's Susie Wiles' reaction to the series of articles. Quote, "The article published early this morning is a disingenuously framed hit piece on me and the finest president, White House staff, and cabinet in history. Significant context was disregarded, and much of what I and others said about the team and the president was left out of the story. I assume after reading it that this was done to paint an overwhelmingly chaotic and negative narrative about the president and our team." She goes on after that. You can read the full thing on X, but what happened? What went wrong?
Well, look, I would just echo my boss, Susie Wiles, who is the best chief of staff in our nation's history, working for the greatest president in our nation's history, and that this was, unfortunately, another attempt at fake news by a reporter who was acting disingenuously and really did take the chief's words out of context. But I think most importantly, the bias of omission was ever present throughout this story. The reporter omitted all of the positive things that Susie and our team said.
Okay. So, and then Vanity Fair went on to even take it to a whole new level. They got the White House team to pose for photographs, and they set them up with this. They used the outtakes and made them look as bad as they possibly could. I mean, these pictures are scary of Susie Wiles, J.D. Vance, and of Caroline Leavitt. They did these close-up photographs, and on Caroline Leavitt, what they did is, Caroline Leavitt's 27 years old. She's the best press secretary this country has ever seen. I've never seen any of our press secretaries. It's amazing at her age how good she is at handling these veteran Washington hacks, and she just fillets them. With Caroline Leavitt's image, they did an extreme close-up, and they highlight what they say are injection marks on her lips, that she gets her lips injected with collagen, I guess. And I know a lot of women do that, but at 27, but anyway, and I'm looking at this picture, I don't know, it looks like those could be injection marks. Very bizarre thing. And, why would they talk to Vanity Fair? I've turned down interviews. When you do an interview, I only do interviews with people I know and trust. And if you're a conservative, especially MAGA, I don't care how nice they are, okay? I don't care how nice they are. They con you into it. You don't want to do it. Once you do an interview, they can make it look like you said anything they want you to say. You lose complete control. And I remember I turned down a pretty big interview. I've mentioned this one before, I'm sure. This was a couple years back. I got a call from a big international news outlet that wanted to interview me. It was a print interview about January 6th. And I said no. And the reason I said no is because they're liberal, and I knew what they would do with that. And who knows, whatever, we have a conversation. Once you do it, the whole conversation's on the record. They take one sentence or 2 or 3 words out of everything and they put it in whatever context they want to put it in. And that interview would have been a lot of exposure for me, and would have gotten a lot of attention on the show and the radio show and my podcast and everything. And I didn't do it because of the context. And this one I know I've mentioned. I only do things with people I really know and trust. I did an interview that was I did an interview about a year and a half ago, and this one I couldn't believe. Okay, this was this person that interviewed me. It was for a YouTube channel. Somebody interviewed me, and they had befriended me, and I and everything else. And I did this interview. It was recorded. And it was, I was on, it wasn't a video interview, even though it was on YouTube. It was, because it was someone who did a YouTube channel where they didn't want to show themselves. It was kind of an anonymous YouTube channel. They weren't a secret person, but they didn't show themselves. So it was an audio interview. And they interviewed me. And then when the interview aired, I'm listening to the interview with my wife, and it seemed a little funny to me. And my wife said to me, "It doesn't sound like you didn't answer his questions. Like the guy was asking you questions, and you didn't answer his questions." And I was like, "Yeah, it does. It doesn't sound like I remember it, you know." And it was a pretty sizable audience for this channel, and I did the interview from my car in a parking lot in front of Chipotle, waiting for Chipotle to. And then I talked to them after it aired. They told me that they didn't, when they interviewed me, they forgot to read. This is what they told me. I'm not saying this isn't true, but this is the kind of thing that can happen when you do an interview. They said when they recorded the interview, they forgot to hit record on their track. They only had me, so they had to go back in and redo their part, and then edit me in. And I'm like, what? So I don't do interviews unless it's somebody I know and trust. So I'm expecting, and it surprisingly, it hasn't happened yet, but it may happen later today. We may get, can you imagine? They could have said anything. They could have asked any question, and my responses could have been, and that's why in that particular interview, it didn't sound like I was answering their questions, but not the ones that were on the interview. And that just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm expecting an interview audio to come out with Susie Wiles from Vanity Fair. And I'm not going to put any weight into anything that comes out. But I will say this. Don't talk to liberals. Vanity Fair did a hit piece on John McCain and Sarah Palin back in 2008. It was terrible. And I think it was Vanity Fair that brought in Annie Leibovitz to take those demonic photographs of John McCain. And they did the same thing with Sarah Palin's photographs that they did to Susie Wiles, J.D. Vance, and Caroline Leavitt. They took these Sarah Palin's thing was she was smart, she was Republican, and she was good looking for a vice presidential candidate. So they did to her what Vanity Fair did to Caroline Leavitt, Susie Wiles, and J.D. Vance. They made her look awful. I mean, you got to work hard to make Caroline Leavitt look bad, and they did in this picture. Susie Wiles is an elderly lady. It's not as difficult. But they did the same thing to Sarah Palin. Why they do this interview? Why they let them take pictures of them? No. Don't do that again. I'm not going to hold it against him. Just don't do it again. Learn from the mistakes, Susie Wiles, please. All right. It's 8 o'clock. Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this. You guys know what I mean, right? Absolutely you know what I mean. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
On the line, we have one of our listeners, Jeff. He heard me talking with George Colony recently, our real estate guy here on the program, about how he can turn renters into property owners. And he gave George Colony a call, and they met. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Brian, thank you so much.
Yeah, so tell me what prompted you to call George Colony, and then tell me how the meeting went.
I've been looking forever for a property to buy, and I've had all kinds of issues come up, and I really needed someone who had that professional experience to help me overcome all the different issues that are likely when you're trying to buy a house. And so I went to meet him, and I was totally impressed with his brain power and his ability to solve problems. He gave me lots of good ideas to help get me through into a house and become an owner. Real estate can be a hardy headache for sellers. It's really a complicated process, and you really need someone who's an expert and a problem solver. So if you're selling your house, you need to know the agent that you can trust and that he has the brain power to figure out the problems that typically arise in every settlement. And I met George Colony myself. I personally interviewed him. He's really good at helping buyers.
Okay. All right, the 8 o'clock hour has begun. I'm Brian. It's time to check in with Jamie Levac from Swift Tax. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning, Brian.
Wow. I mean, we're getting closer to, everyone's least favorite time of the year. That's tax time. I want to tell you, Jamie Levac from Swift Tax is with us, and I know a lot of you have been calling him. I was talking to my mother over the weekend, who's completely retired widow, and I was telling her to call you. I said, Mom, you need to call Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. There's so many new tax benefits for senior citizens receiving Social Security benefits that for 2025 that you want to make sure you get on your taxes when you file your taxes in a few weeks. Can you talk a little bit about that, Jamie?
Yes. So with the new bill, seniors are highly affected just because they won't be taxed on Social Security. And there's many different scenarios where a senior citizen could benefit from this, mainly retired senior citizens who are possibly getting additional retirement income, whether it's distributions from a trust, whether it's payments from interest, from dividends from a company that you worked at. Any additional income that would push you over a certain tax bracket, causing you to pay more taxes, the new rule kind of eliminates that.
Wow.
And being on a fixed income, the last thing you want to do is pay more taxes than you were supposed to pay. So having a good accountant would save you time and money and have you take advantage of the new rules that are actually coming out.
And seniors that are receiving Social Security benefits, there's a massive Social Security deduction for seniors receiving Social Security benefits this year, too. That's retroactive to 25, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And just to be clear, if your income is solely Social Security, you may not benefit as much. But if you have additional income on top of your Social Security, there's a lot of new things that need to be put in place compared to your last year's tax return.
Yeah.
So if you don't have an accountant who understands what to do, you're going to be losing money.
Yeah, and don't make that decision on your own, guys. Call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax and talk to him, and Jamie will tell you how we can help you, or maybe not. But if you're receiving Social Security, there's major new changes. But the tax codes change for everyone. With the big beautiful bill, I got a call from a guy earlier who's a driver. There's so many Uber and Lyft drivers and Door Dashers and things like this. If they're not calling you, Jamie Levac, at Swift Tax, a lot of these people in what's referred to as the gig economy are really so upside down on their taxes because they're not getting the deductions that the law allows them to take, right?
No, of course. If you're working in the gig economy, i.e. you're a private contractor, you're a small business, if you haven't stopped and took even an hour or so to have some tax planning where you can strategize how you're going to pay less taxes in the future and how you can structure yourself as a small business, that way you can reap the benefits of having a good standing business in Florida. I mean, once your business has filed taxes for a handful of years and incorporated yourself, there's a lot of different benefits for incorporating yourself. you pay less taxes immediately. For example, let's say you are a Uber driver and you made $100,000 last year and you're not incorporated, you're immediately paying around 10% more in taxes. So just incorporating yourself alone would save you 10%.
And 10% of 100,000 is $10,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's
it's a big step to overlook.
Yeah. So you know, I don't care who you are. You need to call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax and have him review your situation. And one last thing I want to talk to you about, Jamie. We mentioned this when you and I talked last week, and I heard from some people that called me and were asking me for your number, okay, because of this. There are people that owe money in past tax years. You can actually review taxes from the past and see if maybe they may not owe that money, right? Sometimes people are on installment plans paying the IRS. Maybe they don't owe that money, or they don't owe as much as they thought they did. And you can actually go back and review their past tax returns, right?
Of course, there's so much I can do to help somebody. If you're out there and you are getting notices from the IRS, letters from the IRS that basically are in another language, I'd be more than happy to help you out, because in some situations, you know, it can be scary getting reached out from the IRS, whether it's emails, letters. The main thing is it's not always a bad thing. I recently helped somebody out who was confused about getting letters for overpayments from past years, and they thought they owed money. Turns out IRS owed them money.
Oh, wow.
With a simple phone call, I was able to get a $1,000 check mailed out to them for overpayments for past years.
That's amazing.
So if the whole process is overwhelming, but that's where I come in. Give me a call, and I could start from square one with whatever problem or issue that you have.
Yeah, you know, for regular people, it's not just overwhelming. It can be scary for people, especially if they get those kind of letters. But that's where Jamie Levac from Swift Tax comes in. You don't have to worry about it. He'll take the weight off your shoulders and take care of everything. So listen, the entire tax code has changed with the big, beautiful bill. Call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. And lastly, I just want to say this. While Jamie Levac is located in Broward County, he can help you no matter where you are in the United States, or the world for that matter. But no matter where you are listening to me in this program, Jamie Levac from Swift Tax can help you with your taxes, okay? His number is 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. That's 954-773-1587. All right, Jamie, we'll talk later in the week.
Sounds good, Brian.
All right, take care. Take care. All right, now I want to get back to those of you on hold, stand by. I want to cover a couple of things here, and this is very important stuff, guys. I've got a big follow-up on yesterday's show that is huge about Rob Reiner, and I just want to mention this for a couple of minutes, and then after the break, I'm going to get into some new things. I had a lot of people, there's a lot of never-Trumpers out there, and liberals, Democrats, that are trying to get me to criticize President Trump all the time. They're trying to get me, well, how can you agree with this? How can you agree with that? And I was telling you guys yesterday that the president's response to the death of Rob Reiner, that it's like the John McCain, I like people that don't get captured moment, right? That we're going to find out things about Rob Reiner that we didn't know and understand where he's coming from. After the radio show ended at 9, right after 9, there was a major drop of a video, and I'm going to play you the beginning of it. It's Rob Reiner with Clapper and Brennan, the number 2 and 3 guy. Comey's number 1, right? Number 2 and 3 guys in the whole lawfare against the president. Listen to this. This is and here you have Rob Reiner with them. Listen to this.
Either person can sit at either place.
Either place.
Whatever's good for you.
I don't think either one of us has a good side.
You don't
so
have
it
a good
doesn't matter.
side.
That's Brennan with Reiner.
All right, me too. We're both of the follically challenged. So thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. And the thing that to me is so frustrating is that this cataclysmic thing happened to our country, and people don't seem to understand it, understand the gravity of it. And, you guys were talking about how, it's unusual for people who have been, how many years of experience do you have?
Okay, and then they go on and have and what he's talking about, Rob Reiner, to Brennan and Clapper is President Trump's election and how he's compromised by Russia, right? Which goes back to the dossier. And this interview, what makes this interview, yesterday when I was going through everything I had yesterday, a liberal caller called in and said, well, what proof do you have that he's in with Brennan? Well, this is it. And this sit-down interview with Rob Reiner interviewing Clapper and Brennan, this is not some cheap interview done on an iPhone or a still camera. Rob Reiner, I know people trying to discount him now, but Rob Reiner is considered one of the greatest directors of the 20th century, right? A Few Good Men, that You Can't Handle the Truth moment with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson about the wall and all that stuff is one of the top 10 movie moments in the history of American cinema. And Brennan and Clapper and Comey are of meatheads Rob Reiner's generation. And this interview that Rob Reiner did with Brennan and Clapper is A-list movie director production quality. There are, I don't know how many cameras are used in this interview. But there are multi-cameras, this is a movie level production. It's done on a set that looks like the courtroom in A Few Good Men. Rob Reiner was brought in to be the director of the coup. Rob Reiner is some of you guys will get this, many of you will not, and maybe this isn't the most appropriate comparison, but I'm going to use it anyway. Rob Reiner was the director of the coup and lawfare against Trump. He is the Leni Riefenstahl of the coup conspirators. And this new interview that he directed and produced that dropped with Brennan and Clapper shows how high level this was. They hired him to direct the coup, and because he's also an actor and very famous, being on one of the top 10 most watched television series in the history of American television, All in the Family, he would go on television to sell what he was directing, the coup. And one question I have is this. Did Rob Reiner direct January 6th? There was a lot of imagery there, right? The gal, all that stuff. A serious question I'm asking here. I'm not joking. And if you see this new interview that Rob Reiner, who's an A-list movie director, considered one of the greatest directors in Hollywood history of that generation, which includes Spielberg, okay? People forget because his movies, for a while ago, but Misery, Stand By Me, and A Few Good Men is his masterpiece, the most mainstream that's loved, and there's others. And you go and look at this interview that he did with Clapper and Brennan, Rob Reiner, that I'm referencing.
A lot of bad stuff in my 50 years in intelligence, but I don't recall anything that gave me viscerally, in the pit of my stomach, a more uncomfortable, uneasy feeling than when I realized what the Russians were doing.
Yeah, which was controlling Trump. So, yeah, he was the director of the coup. So that's where the president was coming from with his comments on Rob Reiner. So for you never Trumpers out there that were giving me grief yesterday, and some of you leaving comments online, some of you calling the show yesterday, some of you in my live chats, oh, you're just like those liberals with the Charlie Kirk assassination. No, I'm not. And this new thing, and by the way, what was he doing having dinner with the Obamas this week? He didn't have it because his son murdered him. That's right. Because Obama, who is the leader of the lawfare and coup, was checking in with his director of his masterpiece, the lawfare coup of against President Trump. That's what that was all about. I'm sorry what happened to him, and it's god-awful. However, President Trump's feelings were not out of the blue, and I can only imagine what President Trump knows about Rob Reiner that we've not yet been made privy to. All right, call us on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, stand by.
Hello?
Hey, Barry, it's Brian.
Brian, good morning.
Hey there, we have 1 minute.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to put you on hold. When you hear me, we'll be on the air. Okay, stand by. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere, guys. Oh boy, the next thing I have. I'm going to take a couple calls, and then I got something that just ticks me off. All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Brian, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. So here we are, the Jewish holidays, and then we have Christmas and New Year's. What should people be thinking about right now when it comes to the Siegel Law Group?
Well, I mean, you're right on track with what I was going to say. I mean, we're 2 weeks out from New Year's Eve, and I bet everybody's busy making their plans for New Year's Eve. But what about our plans for our lives, for our families, for our estate, for our finances, everything? What have you done this year? Did you follow through with your New Year's resolutions? 2 weeks are left in this year. What are you going to do to make sure that you prepare for your family and make sure everything is done right and have that peace of mind? Tomorrow, which is Thursday, at 2 p.m., we are having our final Living Trust workshop at Spanish River Library in Boca Raton. If you wanted to come to a seminar, one of our workshops to learn what you need to learn, get the information to make a good decision about your planning for your loved ones. Tomorrow is the last opportunity to do it in this calendar year, and also the opportunity to get the process started, take action to do what you know you need to do to take care of yourself and your loved ones. So tomorrow, 2 p.m., we do have some seats available. All you need to do is to call our office or go on our website, and you can register there. And by attending, you also are going to be entitled to some discounts on any planning fees just by attending and taking action.
Okay, now I want to just talk about the workshop for a minute, okay? Because I know you talk about this sometimes in your workshop. Here we are in sunny South Florida, 2 p.m. at the library. You know, sounds exciting, huh? I've been to so many workshops for both the Revocable Living Trust and the Medicaid planning, and this is a hard thing for people to believe, Barry, but they're very interesting, and I've been to so many, and they're different every time. And as many workshops as I've been to, and as many times as you and I have talked on the radio over the years, Barry, I always walk away learning something new from the workshops. So that's important. But there's two other things I want to mention. Okay, one thing I've noticed about the workshops, Barry, and I'm sure you've noticed this too. A lot of times adult children bring their parents to the workshop because the adult children want their parents to take care of business so that they don't have a headache when they move on from this life. And they bring their parents there to get the process started, but so that they can see exactly what it is you're doing, which is extensive. So a lot of adult children do bring their parents, correct, Barry?
We do see that often.
Yeah.
Or sometimes adult children will come on their own when their parent has care issues. They might be in a nursing home or assisted living or just at home, but they're coming to, especially to the Medicaid workshop to learn about what they need to do to help their parent not have to spend down their assets so they can qualify for the government benefits.
Yeah, and I'll give you one more thing too, because Attorney Barry Siegel is there. It's his workshop. He does the presentation, but you also have people from your practice with you, and it is a good opportunity not just for you to learn the great work that the Siegel Law Group do, but you get to meet Attorney Barry Siegel and his staff. And I don't want to say audition, but these are big life decisions that people are making for their families, and I think you'll feel very secure and trusting the Siegel Law Group after you see these workshops. You get to know Barry and his team, and I think that's also a great benefit on top of all the information you're getting. So if you're interested in this Siegel Law Group workshop on Revocable Living Trust tomorrow at the Spanish River Library in Boca, or just want to take advantage of the no-charge in-person consultation, give the Siegel Law Group a call, 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, siegellawgroup.com. All right, Barry, we'll talk later in the week.
All right, thanks, Brian.
All right, take care, Attorney Barry Siegel. All right, back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Chris on Pompano Beach.
Hey, Chris.
No, great. I'm glad you brought that up because, anybody that was giving you grief about this whole Reiner thing is, complete bias because, they're desperate people. I don't know if they listen to this show.
That's right.
You and Steve Kane.
Everybody should listen to this show. No other shows.
Yeah, exactly. They've all had the knowledge. I know they don't hear truth from media that would, discuss the negative that the Democrats do, but we had sound bites of Obama in bed with Russians. Remember that? He's like, tell Putin, after the election, I can do this, and that with him. We know the money trail from Hillary. And, of course, the Biden family title, with all that. So, but here, like Steve Kane said, even if there was a there that was true about this dossier, well, where's the crime in that as far as, the whole deal with that?
Yeah.
They anything negative would do with them.
That's true.
But they have clear information in their face in front of them. All the liberals and reporters and media and everything.
That's true.
And they still and they ran with it for how long? Even now,
that's true.
It's being brought up.
Well, listen, I got to run, but I appreciate the call. I'm up against the clock here, but I just came across something when I was talking to Attorney Barry Siegel. I want to take another call or two before the bottom of the hour break. But I just came across something involving this Susie Wiles Vanity Fair interview when I was talking to Attorney Barry Siegel that has pissed me off so much. I want to get into it after the break. I cannot believe what I am looking at right now. I'm going to tell you all about it after the bottom of the hour break. I'm so angry about it. I want to take a moment to cool off because I don't want to have to dump myself. This is insane. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Melissa in Tennessee.
Hey, Tennessee.
Hey, I just wanted to say, I think I just had a few things to say. Susie Wiles on the Vanity Fair, no matter what she says, they're going to twist it. I don't think she really should have done it. The picture of her looks like a mugshot from Mars, and she just didn't do herself any favors by going on there. They're going to twist anything that she says.
Yeah, but it's got what I'm going to share after the break is worse. I'm with Susie. I'm so pissed, and really, it's Susie Wiles. Tell you the truth, she did this.
Yeah, she did. She should have kept her mouth shut. She shouldn't have never went on there. I mean, they done Melania awful. They won't even put her on the cover as beautiful as she is, and they put all those ugly Democrat women on there. And then Rob Reiner,
both work.
Yeah, Reiner. Well, he hated Trump. He said he hated him. He called him a fascist, called him a racist. And, Trump's only human. I mean, everybody's giving him flack for saying what he did, And he probably, but he was nice about when Charlie Kirk died. And he died a horrible way by his own son's hand. And that is terrible. And Trump just really should have just said, rest in peace, or something like that. But we're only human. And a lot of people is upset over that. And,
Absolutely.
And that's all I was going to say. And I wish that, we just gave another $800 million to Ukraine. I wish Trump would stop that and bring Doge back. I don't think we need to be giving any money to Ukraine.
Yeah, and
because we can't afford it.
The only thing I think we need to give is Ukraine to Russia. I mean, what the heck? They've practically taken it already.
Yeah, that needs to stop as of what was it? 8 months ago, 9 months ago, 10 months ago. And because it was $800 million we just gave, and we can't afford it. We just can't afford it.
There's a general. There was a British general said yesterday that British parents need to prepare to let their children fight and die for Ukraine against Russia.
Yeah.
It's in the news today. I mean, Europe's ready to go to the Third World War. This one we're going to sit out. Europe can fight this one on their own.
That's right. Okay, that's all I had to say. I'm at work. I got to go.
All right, take care. If you're on hold, stand by. After the break, this thing with the Susie Wiles Vanity Fair interview that I just, when I was talking to Attorney Barry Siegel, I saw this, and I am fuming over this. I'm going to get into it after the break, okay? I want to talk about this Sloman's Home Security offer. It's a free home security system with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring. You get all that for just $24.95 a month. And guess what? For 5 years. That's right. All you got to do is go to your phone, pick it up, and call 833-283-5050, 833-283-5050. Your Sloman's home security system includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notification, and remote keypad access. This makes a great Christmas gift for your family, your kids, your grandparents, you adult children, for your parents. Give them a call right now. It's a great deal. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. Call us on hold. Stand by. We'll be right back.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At LaPorta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you they're making it through the year. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow, the 5-pack, for just $29.98. Get the My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 1-800-716-4879 and use the promo code KANE to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now just $14.98. Queens, $18.99. Kings, only $1 more. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced they're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
All right, so call and go to mypillow.com, promo code Kane. All right. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. What was Susie Wiles thinking? I mean, I just, okay. What's worse than the actual interview itself, and who knows, they may drop today or tomorrow the audio, and it's the photographs, right? I was showing you the photo they showed of Susie Wiles, as the last caller said, looks like a mugshot. What they did to Caroline Levitt, they're showing the injection marks on her lips for collagen. They got a close-up of JD that doesn't look good. They've got a close-up image of Marco Rubio that makes it look like he has shingles. And I saw a photo that Vanity Fair did of Jean-Pierre, and it was like some movie star photo spread. These photos are the worst, but there's one that I'm going to show you in a moment. Those of you that watch online and talk about that, this is the one I came across when I was talking to Attorney Barry Siegel that pissed me off. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll take some calls in a minute. Vanity Fair, yes, it was a hit piece. It was dishonest. The photographs are awful, and the next one that I'm going to talk about is the worst. But I'm not really, Vanity Fair is the snake that President Trump's always talking about in the poem in the rallies. Why'd you buy me, snake? Because I'm a snake. Vanity Fair's a snake, a liberal snake. Right now, we have according to the president, the largest blockade in the history of the Western Hemisphere, far beyond anything around Cuba during the missile crisis, is going on right now around Venezuela. This is the largest military operation the United States has conducted in the Western Hemisphere since the Civil War. And with the actual men involved and everything, when it's all over, it might equal or be greater than. I don't know what the largest action was in the Civil War with men, but it's a large military if you just count the Union side. This is the largest military action in the Western Hemisphere by the United States since the Civil War. It's going on right now. President Trump, he's made just an incredible pick of people around him. But one of the best picks that he made was Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. And Marco Rubio and this relates to the Vanity Fair, and there's a photograph that is going to follow Marco Rubio possibly for the rest of his life in this Vanity Fair piece that Susie Wiles allowed to happen. Oh man, sucks. Okay, so Marco Rubio was picked because he's a Spanish speaker, he's very good, and he has a lot of contacts in Latin America. President Trump, his international dealings, what his legacy very likely is to be, is turning Latin America from a third world into a first world continent. So many of the problems we have in this country are because of the third world right south of our border, all the way down to Chile, right? And Marco Rubio is the perfect person to do that. And he really stepped up this week, Marco Rubio. By the way, he's very involved in everything that's going on with the drug cartels. He was there with Pete Hegseth, the war secretary, briefing these creeps in Congress yesterday on the drug boat takeout. He's certainly involved in all this policy, and we're about to go to war, with a real war with Venezuela, quite possibly, and maybe even other nations in South America. It's about time. We got to fix South America, because everything pouring out of South America, whether it's the people or the drugs, is just doing all kinds of death, destruction of this country and draining of our systems and everything else. These pictures not only make them all look bad. You look at Marco Rubio, he looks like he's got shingles. Susie Wiles' Vanity Fair picture looks like she got pulled over on the way home from the White House party in a DUI, drunk. Looks like a drunk mugshot. Caroline Leavitt, you can see the injections in her lips from the collagen into her lips. JD's looks the best, just a little rugged. But this new one of Marco Rubio makes him look like a monkskin. It makes him look like a little boy. They took a photograph of Marco Rubio standing up against a wall, looking down at his shoes, and it's a profile image, and it makes him look like a little person. And this was not done by accident, and it's not some candid shot that the photographer just accidentally caught. It was the shot they were waiting to catch. Because what is his nickname from the president in the first campaign? Little Marco. And Little Marco has evaporated. We haven't heard it in years. And not only did Vanity Fair take this picture to make him look like a child in size, they have a door and a lamp and an end table to give perspective to make sure that he looks tiny. This is a very professionally done. It doesn't matter how tall he is or isn't. In the photograph, he looks like a little person. This is a professional Vanity Fair photographer who staged this and was waiting for the moment. How did they put themselves in a position like this? How did Susie Wiles allow this to happen? And I want to hear your thoughts about this. Who are you upset with? Vanity Fair or Susie Wiles? Marco Rubio is going to be the second or third MAGA president. He said earlier this week that if JD runs, he will not. He'll wait till after JD has his presidency. But you know what? He very well may be J.D. Vance's vice president. Right now, we're involved in the largest military operation by the United States in the Western Hemisphere since the Civil War. Marco Rubio is one of the leaders of this operation, and Susie Wiles put him in a situation to look like it looks bad. And, a lot of things when it goes, someone's judgment is one of the most important characteristics you look for when hiring people. You need people that have good judgment. I was talking to Barry Siegel, Attorney Barry Siegel, about his upcoming workshop. I went to a workshop with Attorney Barry Siegel at the Spanish River Library, and then I went to one after. Many of you were there. At Barry Siegel's office in Boca. When I was leaving, a listener, I'm not going to describe what they wanted to do, but someone wanted to take a picture with me doing in a particular pose, nothing perverted, and I said no. And they said, why? I said, no, I'm not going to let you take my picture like that. I'm not going to describe what it was or what they were trying to do or what I was doing. It was nothing perverted or sexual or illegal, but they wanted to take a picture of me to use to mock me, and I knew what they were doing because I'm very smart about this. Also, sometimes I will meet listeners, and I have done this. People take selfies with me sometimes. Sometimes at appearances, sometimes I'll meet people out in public. And some of you on the cruise have probably had this happen. Maybe some of you may have had this happen with me more than once. It is not unusual for me to not take a picture at a particular time with a particular person because of the situation or what it's going to look like. But sometimes after I take a picture with a listener, I'll say, let me look at it. And I'll say, no, delete that. Let's do another one. And I'll watch them delete it. Like with interviews, once you do something, whether it's a photograph or a recorded interview, you don't know what they're going to do with it. So you want to make sure that when you take photographs or you do interviews, that they're with people you can trust, that are not out to make you look like a dwarf, which is what they try to do with Marco Rubio here. So who are you mad at? Vanity Fair or Susie Wiles? I want to hear your thoughts on this. We got one more segment after the gold report. If you're on hold, stand by. Our number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Are you in pain? Why haven't you gone to see Dr. Appleton yet? Okay? You don't have to live with pain. Go see Dr. Appleton. The consultation is free. Go meet with Dr. Appleton. Appointments are not even necessary on Wednesdays. On Wednesdays. Today's Wednesday. Not just on Wednesdays. Here's the save. Sorry, Doc. Appointments are not necessary, not just on Wednesdays, but even on Saturdays. Appointments aren't necessary. Walk-ins are always welcome, and the consultation's always free. Sit down with Dr. Appleton and let him tell you how he can rid you of pain, like he's done with me 7 times with his laser away pain treatment. The laser away pain treatment doesn't mask the pain. It repairs the damage that's causing the pain. That's why the 7 times that Dr. Appleton has rid me of pain, the pains have not returned. Either from aging, like my arthritis, my injuries from falling off my skateboard, or a car accident with my knee pain, all gone. None of the pains have returned because Dr. Appleton, with his laser away pain treatment, repaired the damage in my body that was causing the pain. Remember, the pain is a signal that something's broken, something's torn, something's not right, and it needs to be fixed. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain, too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back.
Good morning.
Hey there. We've got 30 seconds. I'm going to put you on hold. I'll be right back to you on the air. Hold on. All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals looking today?
Metals looking incredibly strong with gold, with silver hitting a new all-time record high of $66 the ounce.
Wow.
Yesterday we saw gold trade in a range of $4,271 on the low, all the way up to $4,336. Closing out today just down $3 at $43.0130. Silver was down 35 cents at $63.67. Platinum closed up $56 at $1,841. And palladium was up $24 at $15.81. All highs today on gold, $4,338, up $36.70. Silver up $2.33 at $66 the ounce. Platinum up $70 at $1,911, and palladium up $40 at $1,621 the ounce. So the markets continue to just roar ahead. Some setting all new record highs.
Yeah, I last week I don't know if you remember, William. I said, "What do you think? Silver's doing so well. Is it a time? Is it a time to take our silver and switch it into gold?" And you said, "No, we're not at the high yet." And that was like $6 an ounce ago, right? Already. So yep. things are going well. Let me ask you, William, what are the good deals on when it comes to the 10 ounce and 100 ounce bars of silver? Are those good deals right now?
Yeah, they're all priced very reasonable, especially in relationship to the price of silver now. I mean, the percentage-wise, very little coverage over the spot price. And, of course, we've still got 90% silver bags at a fantastic savings, $4 under the spot price of silver.
Wow.
And
so, I mean, and that's a great thing. So with the 90% silver coins, you're getting silver for under spot price, but you're getting it under spot price with silver so high. So if you're a silver buyer, that's an incredible bargain. I mean, that's a good bargain any day of the week, but right now especially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. Toll free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. His address in Boca is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And find both his phone number and address on his website, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thanks.
All right, take care. I got to tell you, I am just so upset with Susie Wiles over this. It's one thing to do an interview, like a print interview, and you do an interview. I wouldn't do an interview with any liberals, okay? Wouldn't do it. It's a whole nother thing, though, to let these liberals be in charge of taking your photographs. There isn't one that is not a photograph meant to destroy the reputation of the person. Go back. It might have been Newsweek that I'm looking now on social media that did this to Sarah Palin. But the thing with the photographs is, I really got wise to this with Sarah Palin. I can't remember if it was Vanity Fair or Newsweek with Sarah Palin. But Sarah Palin had this reputation. She was running for vice president. Everybody loved her. And she was young and good looking for a politician. And she had a baby and all this stuff, kids, grandkids, all this stuff. And she had a lot of sex appeal. In fact, she was on Saturday Night Live with Alec Baldwin. And I remember Alec Baldwin, he says, wow, Governor Palin, you're even better looking in person, he says to her, right? So I don't remember if it was Newsweek or Vanity Fair, but they had these liberal photographers. They did a cover shoot for her like Vanity Fair just did for the Trump team to make her look unappealing because they were afraid that her sex appeal was going to help them win. So they wanted her to look like an old lady, and they accomplished it. They made her look bad. They did a similar thing to John McCain, making him look like the devil with shadows. Remember that, Annie Leibovitz? So I looked yesterday when this story first broke with the photos from Vanity Fair. I didn't see the dwarf Tyrion Lannister image of Marco Rubio. But how could I saw the photos that they did of Karine Jean-Pierre, who those look like A-list celebrity movie star photo shoots that a Hollywood studio did because they wanted her to look great. You know, President Trump's success is based on a number of things. But one of the things is this. President Trump is an expert when it comes to media of all kinds. In fact, the reason that Donald Trump was a worldwide famous man before he got into politics is because he knew how to use media, right? And in the first campaign, Van Jones, he was giving analysis of President Trump on social media. And he said, this was during the first campaign, and Van Jones said, President Trump has learned to use social media like no other politician ever has. He says, President Trump understands how to use social media like John F. Kennedy understood how to use television before anyone did. And that Kennedy-Nixon debate that's so famous that everyone talks about, what happened with that Kennedy-Nixon debate, you've all heard the story, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but they polled people who saw the debate on television who won. They all said Kennedy. Then they polled people that didn't see it but heard it on the radio. The people that heard it said Nixon won. And if you go back, Nixon looked bad on television in that interview, like he was nervous, like he was sweating, like there were problems. President Kennedy was wearing makeup. Nixon wasn't. So he looked better on Nixon didn't look good anyway, but because of the lighting and everything else, he looked like a cool customer as opposed to Nixon, who looked bad because he wasn't wearing makeup when President Kennedy was. These photographs of the Trump team are meant to destroy them image-wise. And the little, President Trump, he's good with the media, he's good with marketing, and he knows how to handle media and how to brand things. And once he gives you a nickname, it sticks, Sloppy Steve Bannon, Little Marco Rubio. Right? We've seen these all the time. Marco Rubio got over the Little Marco thing. That's so long forgotten. Now it's back. And you know what? It's going to stick with him when he runs for vice president with JD or president in his own right. This photograph. This is, and maybe you think I'm overreacting. The reason that I'm so upset about it is because you don't need to be a media expert or rocket scientist to know better than to do an interview with Vanity Fair and let their hack photographers photograph you and the entire staff of President Trump. Now, I'll tell you, I haven't seen any Pete Hegseth pictures. He understands TV. I don't think they'd be able to get any bad pictures of Pete Hegseth. He wouldn't allow it. He would know better because he's a media person. But how did this close-up happen of Caroline Leavitt? So what I'm upset about is this goes to judgment. Judgment. And this was Susie Wiles' judgment. And her judgment was bad. Bad, bad, bad. Now, I was talking earlier in the show. I mean, we are losing. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm sorry I haven't taken call. In the last couple of segments about this. I'll try to squeeze in before the end of the show a call or two, but we're up against the clock, so hang in there. I was talking that we've lost so many people already this month, right? Footy from Y100. Anthony Geary from General Hospital. And this morning, one that really hit me hard was Gil Gerard, Buck Rogers. In the 25th century, Gil Gerard has died. And December is the deadliest month of the year, especially when it comes to heart attacks. Christmas Day and New Year's Day, there's more heart attacks on those 2 days than any other days of the year. And that's why Life Imaging FLA offers free heart scans with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. And when you're there, make sure you ask them about their cancer screening too. I've had both these scans. They're all about preventative health. People find out every day that they have blockage or other issues that they didn't know about, or that they have cancer and they didn't know about it. They have no symptoms, but they have it. And Life Imaging FLA finds out with their scans. Give them a call. From your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250 and say free heart scan. Pound 250, say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. They have locations in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach. Oh boy. All right, let's take some calls. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Speak up.
Listen, Ryan, you were overreacting. I don't know if you're running out of material or you're overreacting. Do you think the American
if you think I'm running out of material, no, I don't want to have you participating in a show that's out of material. Oh boy, you think you're going to tell me I'm out of material and then I'm going to fill time with you? Are you out of your mind? Get off the phone, arrogant jerk. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Corey from Sebastian right here in Florida.
Hey, Corey from Sebastian. How you doing?
Very good. I love listening to you every day for years. I think one of the things that really bothers me about this Susie Wiles thing is you look at her sort of pedigree in the political world and her background as far as the media with politicians and everything. I mean, she's right up. I mean, she's right up.
She's top.
I mean,
she's top.
way
She's a
up
Florida
there.
girl too. She's tops. But she made a big boo-boo here. A big mistake. She may have sunk Marco Rubio's future presidential hopes with that photo. I'm not kidding.
Well, I agree with you. But the thing that really gets me is that she has basically more experience than that entire cabinet as far as knowing what to do and what not to do with the media, with interviews.
Yes.
I mean, she govrns that stuff, right?
But I'm almost out of time. So I gotta run because we only have about 15 seconds left. But this was her judgment call, and she's in charge of. She runs the whole joint for the president. So you make a decision that bad. Should she be fired?
Oh, I think so because
you think so. Okay, I gotta run. I gotta run. Thanks for the call. We're out of time. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Okay, we're clear. Yeah, he said at the end she should be fired. What do you guys think about that? Oh, my goodness. If you're new to the program, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you're wondering what's going on here, I host a morning radio show that's on a bunch of FM radio stations. And when I'm on the radio, I'm live streaming here on YouTube. So these breaks and everything that you hear are radio breaks, and the radio show ends at 9. I come on about 30 to 45 minutes before the radio show and begin the show every day. So that's what's going on. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you could subscribe, those of you that are new, I'd appreciate it. And if you're already subscribed, do me the favor of not just liking the video, but taking the link to the program and sharing on all your socials. You know, I don't have any marketing team or marketing budget. You and the audience are my marketing team. So share this program, take the link, share it on all your socials with all your friends and followers and invite them to join the community, okay? I appreciate it. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.